On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, new limited event, Pharaoh detected. And if we could get away with musical jokes, I'd love to cut in like 4 different songs there, but all of them are probably copyrightable. Hello, hi, you're listening to Let's Talk FGO. We're going to talk about that and more, because we've been gone a little bit. I'm one of your hosts. Sorry. I was going to do a joke, but then I accidentally punched my headset because I was reaching back to scratch my neck. But yes, I am Valley of the Kings Omega. With me, as always, is a survival crafting game, Lucky.
I hope everyone is enjoying Vagrant Order, aka Chaldean Ninja Challenge. And while we here at Studio Omega like to bring you the latest and FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events for the JP and EA version of the game, so anyone not want to spoilers should yearn for the mines and the crafts.
Expect a lot of those jokes. Also, make sure to get all up in your microphone business, Lucky.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, don't worry, it's a problem we all have. Hi, welcome to Let's Talk FGO. We're back after a week off. Lucky was sick.
I was sick.
For quite a while, honestly. I talked about this the other day while we were doing something else, and I was like, yeah, I don't think you've been on camera in like over a week, because we skipped a few things out. And as you said, you think you started getting sick technically 2 Wednesdays ago, because you missed that 14 stream.
Yeah.
But canonically, I won the poker game for Lucky's soul, and he's fixed now. Because I did win a Balatro run on Monday. And you should check out that stream. It's a little janky, but it's there. Continuing to constantly knock on wood. Don't know if future streams will be janky or not. I was able to, without actually changing anything in my setup at all, was able to actually stream without dropped frames for the past couple. So we'll see. We'll probably try Astrobot again on Monday, and hope, and Prage, and we'll see. But yeah, so we've been out of the loop a little bit, but we're back. Get ready for many of those minor jokes. And I've thought up a delightfully cursed title for this video. I'm sure everyone will enjoy. Oh, you got a gif of the old school OVA. Also, was that a canonical Buster Wolf?
Yeah, that was.
Huh. Don't hear that very often. But the reason why I was talking about sound levels is because that is current me's problem with past me. As just to let everybody know, in Let's Talk FGO as well. I'd not spend the time with Lucky out of commission completely idle. I'm working on a couple of things, one of which is starting the Lost Belt 6 Act 1 Best of compilation. We're about halfway through that first chunk, which is about 2 hours long of audio. There's going to be a second one that I don't know quite how long it'll be, but we're working. It'll probably still be a couple of weeks before that one's ready to go. We'll see. Really depends on how long the back half is. But there's definitely, in addition to the usual thing where I double-check editing out, clicks and clacks and stuff, and a few of the ums and ahs, I've also dedicated myself to boosting audio, because in that video recording, I am usually the quiet one. And I'm like, man, I'm quiet. I need to boost up. Not sure what I was doing. I'm not quiet right now. The gain is boosted.
Boost.
But that means we can catch you up on our lovely news. We'll probably talk about some of the other stuff we're doing later. And we can move on to our various segmentums. After all, we are here to say, the show is brought by you, the listeners, and what you want to listen. Go ahead and click that subscribe button, do the call to action at the front, and I'll tell you more about our Patreon supporters and stuff at the end. That means that our first segment is to check in with everybody's favorite Kohai, Mash.
Senpai, 起きてください.
Because we're already at the point called Wake the Fuck Up Senpai Regular for Pro Tips.
Yay.
This one's very simple, but I'm just reminding you, we've entered the last phase of the Lotto, so you're ready to rock out. You got about a week left. Right now, the sign shows 6 days, which is actually 7-ish days and some change, because FGO's counter has always been weird. But yeah, if I had better pro tips, I don't know. But, Lotto time, and we're all lottoing up. We'll be sure to tell you about what's going on with that as we get later into the line. But now it's time. Rejoice, everyone. Ring the bell. I'm shaking my hands like I'm ringing a bell, but I'm not going to include a bell sound. For Brackets to the Throne, a regular achievement topic. It's back. I'm up first. As I declared on Charlemagne Day, I went all in, and we finally got my Knight Paror, and also we're up to just to remind you how deep down I was already on this shit. NP4 Roland. I'd also got an MP5 Rhyme in there, and I got a very full collection of the event CEs. I should have a maxed out Apex when this is all over, and several copies of everything else. And we are completely max level on Charlemagne. Don't know if I can say Smile Protected, because I do have to take a second and click on the special Max Ascension quest, as unfortunately this game was designed like literally 10 years ago, and we don't have all those funny haha features like instantly redirecting me to that quest when I did the Ascension or whatever. I think it's down in Airwoods? I don't know. It's probably in the servant profile somewhere too.
So, with that, it's me. And, as one might expect, I bought 2 90 packs, proving, as always, that I have no financial responsibility. But for that effort, I did get my Burrito Mart, and our smile is protected. And a weird twist of luck, I also got just enough event keys to max limit break 2 of them each, as well as I also pulled 5 copies both of Vargas and Bao Bao, just as a bonus. I'm just like, Jesus fucking Christ. There's a lot.
Yeah, technically, I did do some of my spare rolls for Burrito Mart. No luck there, obviously. And I have no reports on my Vargas because she was already NP5, so those 2 extra copies are just rare prisms. Got me plenty of them coins, though. We'll take those. But yeah, so we're cooking up, we're rolling, we're seeing things. All right. Can I just do that? Sorry, I'm actually literally tabbed over to the Spirit Origin release quest, like right now. I actually also could do that for Sendo DQ as well. But that's all records. Only records, no evil. And so that means we move on to, did you finish your master missions? Unfortunately, if you didn't finish last week's master missions, if you did not unlock nuclear fission last week, I can't help you. They're gone already. We didn't do the show, they're toast. But we can then talk about this week's master missions, which is put a Lancer in your party 5 times and do a quest. Hopefully that language is followable for everybody. Defeat 20, then 40 enemies. This has the little, not counting servants or bosses in it. And then get 50 each of gold, silver, and bronze Morgan medals. So, do the event. Do lotto farming. You'll kill 40 dudes, and, you'll get the medals. And I'm fairly certain there's got to be one of these nodes that's got to be optimal for a Lancer to be in there somewhere, because, Burrito Mart is the USSR. So, it's got to be like that somewhere. And that will be your master mission. Which means we move on to Skeletograms. Amongst our Skeletograms, first, the big one, which I knew was happening anyway. I'm not sure if last Friday you were sure you were sick or not, or just tired when you said something, but I was like, oh, we can put this off. It's not a big, heavy news week yet, and we've got that stream for the new event coming up. Well, it happened. So, in JP, we have Breakthrough, Mystery House Crafters, the Star Miner, and the Wings of Sunrise. All of which are punctuated differently. Anyway, started the 13th, going until the 4th of December. So occupying the entire back half. And so, the theme seems to be haunted houses plus Minecraft, in that there is actually like a, like spooky house theme going on, but there's also the cube-basedness of Minecraft. It does require an Olympus clear. Not sure if there's any particular reason for that right now. But it does have a welfare. Yeah. Our new welfare is Van Gogh Miner, who is a Lancer. Pickaxe is a kind of polearm, you can get a war pick. Perfectly normal. And we already have several summon banners. The primary one is we have brand new SSR Archer, King Tut, Tutankhamun. He happened. He's exactly as you would think with the short king. But yeah, wow, that's pretty rad. I haven't seen animations or anything yet, but Archer's pretty viable. If you were not listening specifically, I did do a Fanservant Friday for King Tut somewhere ago, where I picked Rider because of the chariots, but fun fact, there were also bows buried in the tomb, among many, many other things we found. So yeah, that's good. But we've also already gotten 2 more banners announced, one of which I have to say absolutely told you so, because it's a Burrito Mart Nezha Caesar. Literally in the Wanted, I'm like, yeah, I know, there's gonna be a Burrito Mart banner. Durr. Sorry, if I seem slightly distracted, it's because, chat, I don't understand. Why are there, special difficulties in this fucking quest to unlock Charlemagne's final ascension? Don't I already need story clearance as well to do this? This is a real fight. He's got multiple break bars, and he's got that stupid damage resistance to everything. Sometimes I don't understand FGO. This is probably not where I would tuck difficulty normally. Did I tap that right? I think I did. Alright, I'll put another round of command codes to continue. But yes, I predicted during the Wanted that, because it had been a year since Burrito Mart had one, that because she has a banner in EN, they'd do another banner in JP, and they did. But also, funnily enough, I don't know if it's just that time of year again, but The third banner, which is also up on rotation, is Mao Nobu and Mendracardo. So they have, many, many fun ones. Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry, chat's lamenting that the Oberon one is also super hard. Yeah, I still have not lucked out on my Moth, but damn, okay. I may have to do that off. I thought I could just quickly do it while I was on the show. I may have to let it sit. Breedomark got an NP upgrade, though. Speaking of Breedomark coming out. So in addition to the usual damage modifier Amplify, possibly Electrify, she also now gives all enemies... let me double check if it's flat. But it's quick and buster resistance down for, I think, 3 turns? Oh, it's overcharge based. Okay, so it scales 10 to 30%. Okay, that's good. That is marginally more useful. I think it fits her role pretty well, as Breedomark kind of seems like you're either using her because you're in a very funny situation where you're dealing with like a multi-class node with enemies who are possibly riders mixed in, or dealing with enemies like berserkers or occasionally lancers or archers who have the riding skill, or you're like using her in a higher difficulty fight and thus I guess like not really turtling, but like you're gonna need to use her defensive abilities because she's pretty good at that. And so this helps with that setup because you're probably using her paired with single attackers. So that's a good one. Also another fun one, Asterios animation upgrade. Woo! Yeah, so his sprites are bounced out. That's cool. And I think that's everything. Obviously, we'll have new servant deets after the mailbag break.
Yes.
But yeah, seems fun. Seems like a fun time. Wouldn't really have expected a Welfare Van Gogh,
No.
I'm
for it, though.
Yeah. No, I'm alright with it. I do believe she is fairly popular, so maybe it's something we should have been thinking about. And if anything else, it gives them an excuse to reference more Van Gogh paintings. The Minotauro sprites are probably not updated because those are, I'm pretty sure, a separate rig. We also do have a couple of small EN news notes. So, EN on the 14th just hit 2,700 days. You get 10 Saint Quartz. We are also currently experiencing the 6th Singularity report, support, repair, support. I think they keep changing the order of these. That's going to start the 16th and go until the 18th. It's a banner for Ozymandias, Gawain, Tristan, and Bedivere, which other than Ozzy being permanent, that's probably a pretty good banner because I think all 3 of those lower rarity guys are story locked. The other kind of funny thing about that is that because we ended up taking a week off, technically there are a couple of other ones. I did not write them down in the show notes, but I will remember them. There were a couple of those short 3-day banners which have been missed. They did a Prison Tower / Dantes one. So Dantes is a raid-up in there, and then they did a 5th Singularity one, which was 2 separate raid-ups for Maeve and Ku Alter. But yeah, so we seem pretty set for these support repair runs. So that probably means that in a few weeks we'll get some sort of 7th Singularity themed one. Probably put Gorgon in there somewhere because she's story locked. Could be actually that's a good question. I haven't been paying super close attention to these because they're all reruns, but. Have they been doing story-locked servants? Could see Kets in there. Yeah, we'll be getting our full Thanksgiving stuff as well, but expect a 7th Singularity. And by story-locked, I mean... Oh yeah, you're right. Are both Maeve and Ku story-locked? I guess they are. I don't think about that one a lot. But yeah, no, so that probably means, yes, we'll see a Kets banner. Woo. For 7th. I think that's probably the logical fit. You might also get an Ishtar rerun, but I feel like that just as likely you're likely to see Ishtar and or Aresh on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
They're limited and they're very popular. So, and keep your eyes peeled, of course, for the Thanksgiving banners. They'll probably be announcing that before too long. Sorry, drinking some water.
Hydrate.
It's important. But I do believe that is all our immediate Fate-related news I've jotted down. If I've forgotten anything because we took the week off, be sure to let me know, either patron chat now or YouTube comments later.
Oh, excuse me. Alrighty then. Well, with that, it is time for this week's Let's Talk FGO Mailbag, the segment where we read what you have to say and comment accordingly. Apparently, you people have been holding some back, because we have nine lovely comments, and we will get through them all right meow. And our first one comes from Monster Girl Aficionado, who says, Dear Lucky Omega, no question this week, just sending good vibes, wah 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 wah, and wishing you well, keep up the great work, thank you. And we move swiftly on This next one comes from a master doing the Lilo and Stitch pickle jar voodoo trick against Fate/Hollywood scalpers. They say, "Hello, Lucky and Meg. I hope you guys are feeling more well this week. I don't have a question this week, but I was looking up Tut after seeing his short king design and found out that he was called the Juvenile King because he was inaugurated as a king at the ages of 8 and 9 and passed away 10 years after. I wanted to share that info with you guys. Love the podcast and wishing you good tidings on the winter season." Yes, this was known. I do believe Omega brought these points up when he did King Tut as a fanservice Friday. I think that was this year, wasn't it?
I think that was earlier this year, yeah. I could not tell you which month as we are in the 11th one, but yeah, I think that was this year.
Yes.
Or late last year. But yes, no, I talked about this earlier and I mentioned he came out, but the Shota Boy King design, incredibly obvious.
Yeah. I never heard him called the Juvenile King. I always called him Boy King.
Yeah, that may be, because I think, like, the the FGO profile has a couple of different variations. That may just be how it ended up, like, translated into, Japanese somewhere.
Shonen-o. But, moving on. This next one comes from Gahulian God. But they say, "Been a while, hope you are doing fine. No serious question, but with Thanksgiving around the corner, if you can nominate one of your servants as this year's turkey carver, who would it be?" I would definitely have to nominate one of my sabers. Probably Watanabe no Suna. I think that'd be hilarious.
Suna would take it very seriously. I'm gonna say Emiya. How many turkey carving knives do you think Emiya Shiro has seen in his life?
That's a little hilarious. Just using a limited blade works just to summon a bunch of knives so we can cut a bunch of turkeys. I can see it.
As like iconic as Unlimited Blade Works is, and also Junichi Suwabe has a great voice as Archer Emiya. I'm very shocked that hasn't been a gag in like a Carnival Phantasm or Fujimaru Doesn't Understand. Just him summoning infinite cutlery and cooking skillets and stuff.
Speaking of Fujimaru Doesn't Understand, the season 2 is going strong, and I really do hope that we get that officially translated to English at some point.
They will probably do what they did for the first season and, like, drop them all at once, I think, when they... Well, not all at once, but you know what I mean. Like, they scheduled out official subs, I believe, but only once the season was done.
Because Carnival Phantasm's pretty good, but Fujimaru Doesn't Understand, it's peak. Since they rolling constantly.
Fujimaru Doesn't Understand, I think, has the great advantage of... I don't think Carnival Phantasm, like, aired on TV... But it was still, like, normal TV anime production,
Yeah.
Fujimaru Doesn't Understand is made for web shorts and knows it, so, like, they, I think, do a very good job of just concentrating everything into just the little bite-sized bit, including the fucking, who's that Pokemon servant gag and stuff.
I love to see it. So, let's move swiftly on, and this next one comes from Tyrant King, who's hooked on a drug called Level 120 NP5 Ishtar.
That'd be pretty good.
That is pretty good. I've actually started slowly working on leveling my Summer Ibuki up. I forgot how much fucking embers it takes. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. Spent like 200 and I've banned like 200 like 5 stars embers and I'm just like, It's like, I need this bar to move farther.
We need to invent the 6th star ember.
It's true. Well, like, here's the thing. Like, once you hit the point of, once you max leveled all your servants, all these embers you get, you do nothing with. Like, what do I do with these now? You either sell them or you start putting them into grailed servants. So that's what I was doing, and I'm just all like, this also seems like a pain in the dick. Especially now that I'm doing Lotto and I'm getting way more embers. I'm like, oh my god, why am I drowning in embers?
It's a vicious cycle.
It is. Anyway, this person has a question. They say, "Hey guys, with Starbucks coming out with their holiday menu now, I want to ask what's your favorite holiday food or drink? Also, any current Lotto goals? Anyway, that's it for me. Sending good vibes your way. Wah 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 wah. And hope you have a great evening." Oh, thank you very much for that. When it comes to favorite holidays, generally, like, I think I've talked about this. Generally, when fall hits, I get on that pumpkin spice grind. And usually, like, other pumpkin-related things. Usually, pumpkin spice lattes, pumpkin pie, pecan pie, apple pie. I start making banana bread, and pumpkin bread. I get real into the baked goods. That usually peters out around, like, once winter hits, and I get a lot more into, like, peppermint and hot chocolate. I should make peppermint bark this year. That's some good shit.
Be a pretty solid one, yeah.
Legendary screaming about, "Learn my pain!" It's very true. Like, before I didn't necessarily have this problem because I always had servants level, but now that I've caught up on that, I'm just all like, ah! Yes, but yeah. A lot of baked goods. For fall, it's a lot of baked goods and pumpkin adjacent. We actually talked about this at one point. Pumpkin spice doesn't actually contain any sort of pumpkin anyway. It's like a spice medley of other things. And
let's see. First result on Google is pumpkin pie spice, cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, allspice, cloves.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where like we like naturally shortened because the point is it's like the full name is it's the pumpkin pie spice, which pumpkin pies debatably even contain pumpkin as well. It's a different kind of squash, I think, usually these days. But for some reason I feel like it has to be Starbucks shortened it to just pumpkin spice.
I don't know if Starbucks did it. I feel like it probably was something before then. I think only Starbucks like popularized it because I'm pretty sure pumpkin spice existed before that. Like as a short form. Like I'm pretty sure like pumpkin spice is you go to the seasoning aisle in your local grocery and you just be like pumpkin spice right there. Or pumpkin pie spice. It could be both.
Yeah, Wikipedia doesn't seem to say when it was shortened. The concept of standalone pumpkin pie spice has existed forever. There is a pumpkin with a P-O with a very similar mix from the American Cookery by Amelia Simmons in the year 1796. Pumpkin pie spice at least is from cooking books back to the 1890s. And McCormick, the spice company, has been selling it commercially since 1934. Which, if you live in America, you've probably seen, McCormick spice canisters.
I know McCormick spice canisters.
Yeah. But yeah, like, Starbucks definitely popularized it because they referred to it in the context of the pumpkin spice latte, which is shocking, I know, but, like, unbelievably popular. Like, Wikipedia has, with the citation markers, that, believing that as of 2016, pumpkin spice is supposed to produce $50 million annually. Starbucks specifically generates approximately 80 million USD a year in seasonal pumpkin spice drinks.
Jesus,
because allegedly they've sold more than 200 million of them since they introduced it. So like, yeah, no, it's apparently a huge industry.
Wow.
As for me, it's basic of me, but I don't really, live places where I can wander around and get seasonals anyway. So I'm just when it's cold, we drink hot chocolate. It's not often cold in the balmy state of Florida. We're gonna have to start next year changing the name of the state to Helda instead of the floor in Florida is supposed to be flower. I don't know whether the Spanish verbs is on the ida or not, but yeah, you could also call it Infernoda.
Fuegoda.
Yeah, Fuegoda instead of Florida. It's like finally cooling down. It's 58 degrees outside. Unfortunately, I'm out here rocking. There's still no screens in my window, so we can't cool off that way. And I'm sure some of you who live in temperate northern climates won't understand what I mean by that. But while I am a literal stone's throw away from the highway, I am also living in the woods. You cannot open the windows without screens. It doesn't matter the time of year. You can't be doing that. The bugs fly right in. And let me tell you, this is Florida. We got some nasty bugs. Flies, gnats, moths, palmetto bugs. Hell, with no screens. Apparently there was out by the back shed, there was a 7-foot snake the other day. So I don't mind if he stays outside, but I'm not looking for a roommate. Which probably means that I gotta order me up some hot cocoa next time I buy groceries.
Yeah. Sorry, my chair is fighting me a little.
They do be doing that.
They be doing that. So, moving swiftly on, this next one comes from, I have come from 2021. It feels so weird to think that just 6 years ago was 2018. I don't like thinking about the past. It's making me feel weird, and old, and weirdly old, and oldly weird. Stop it. What this person says, Dear Lucky and Meg, I hope you're feeling better, Lucky. Yeah! How would you rate the Lotto Challenge quest in terms of difficulty? I have my answer, but Omega, do you have an answer?
Let's see. Ranking the Lotto Challenge quests. I think all of them are hard.
Yes. For me, they are too damn hard to bother with.
Usually, I can squeak out like the first, I want to say like 1 to 3. Like, those are usually not that crazy. But even as much as I like summon tickets, by the time we start getting 4 or 5 deep, then we're just like in the nonsense zone of like, I have to stimulate way too many brain cells to make this work, and I'm just like, I don't want to do all that for a summon ticket, man. I have 4 other things I could be doing.
Yes, my personal opinion is the challenge quests are not worth a single fucking summon ticket. It's just not. I know a lot of people out there will look up their guides and talk to other people, and, you know, everyone has their sick-ass comps that they have on. I'm just here to play a game and read story, man. I'm not here to suffer.
I mean, I think that's very much shown, like, where our preferences lie. Hi, I'm working on stitching together fucking... Hold on. Yeah, 5, I think, episodes of the podcast, one of which is like an 8-hour-long stream. We did, you know, to collect all of our, like, recapping and thoughts and discussion and side stories about Lost Belt 6.
Yeah.
Whereas our discussion of Lotto, like, I put in the free talk notes, you know, Tam Lin Cup thoughts to mostly talk about the story, because it does exist. And they get some decent mileage out of the gag. But you are not going to hear us talking about, like, you know, what was your pro strat for the 90++ node in the second obstacle wave?
Yeah, but even then, that'd be like, honestly, that wouldn't be much of a discussion point, because I would just say what my servants were and just leave it at that.
I think some differently minded content creators could probably milk it for a little bit. Sorry, sneeze. Oh,
sneezed.
Yeah, so, like, other people with different priorities could find a way to, like, shape that discussion of, like, oh, how did you handle, you know, the switch to the, you know, the 1 in the wave 2? As you can tell by me having to put on the extra effort to do that fake voice, that's not how we're usually set up. But if you want us to, you know, stand around and be like, haha, remember our good friend, the fairy who owned the bar, and how he said, Da Vinci. Da Vinci.
Da Vinci. Mike! I remember Mike.
We like Mike.
Oh, this person actually had a second line to this. They said, I've completed most of them with Asfataman kicking my butt, even with the MLB damage CEs on my Q, my best single target Lancer rip, and borrowed Castoria. Would I be better off borrowing a better Lancer and ditch Castoria?
I mean, Castoria is really cracked, but I don't think she has a hell of a lot of synergy with Ku, so... Listen, OG Ku, he's pretty strong, especially if you do put the extra effort to like, grail him up and overlevel him, but you do need the right comp for it. You might be better trying to fish for, like, if you've got anybody on your friends list who's, like, I'm gonna guess, you know, hunt for somebody who's got, like, an NP5 Melu. That's probably a pretty cracked one. I think I must leave my AoE farmers up for myself. Like, I'm pretty sure my level 100 Aresh is on my list for Lancers. Yeah, Sakamoto Lancer's got some longevity as well. He's a good one to dig up if you need him.
If you want defense, good defensive, Leonidas usually can pull some work, too.
Yeah, Leonidas is also a stall god. Taunts, guts, works.
But with that, I think we're done, so we will move swiftly on. This next one comes from Agent 418, who says, hello, Lucky and Omega. Have a good weekend, y'all. Thank you. Thank you for that. I hope you all are going to have a good one, too. So, moving on. This next one comes from a master who really needs to stop procrastinating and start farming for the event. You and me both, brother. I started farming today.
Luckily, that means you only have to worry about one set of quests.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about Lottos, and unfortunately, is even though they have like 3 separate sets, it's always the last set that always gives you the best drops.
Yeah, I think the 90+ and plus nodes have been pretty good on the middle set, but it's not as high as the last set. You do get some extra apples, though.
Yeah, apples are important. Ooh, excuse me. Good evening, folks. It's been a while since I posted a question for you both. I'm considering getting myself a PC to play games and doing some other activities. I want to know if you have any recommendations for what kind of PC I should get. I'm a little lost with all the brands, parts, and specs to find a starting point. I hope I can find what I need before the tariffs jack up the prices. But that's all I have to say, and wish you all a good weekend. Well, unfortunately, I can't necessarily give you any recommendations on brands and whatnot, because everything really does depend on your budget. And basically what you actually want to accomplish with your computer. The joys of PC is that you can highly customize them and you can have them do a variety of things for you. Anywhere from recording, video creation, video editing, playing games. It can be simple as various web tools and whatnot and stuff. So, depending on what you want to actually do with your computer, first off, is probably on your set. And then you have to consider, again, your budget and how much you have. There are services and tools online to help you kind of figure out what you kind of want. I don't actually know. No, I don't know if Newegg has. I think Newegg might have something, but
Newegg's generally pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, Newegg's generally. I was just trying to see if they had. I don't remember if they have a thing that lets you build your computer first and then check the price for said parts.
Yeah, there's definitely services like that. I will say that if you can afford to buy the parts piecemeal, that will be usually cheaper in the end, but does mean you're going to need a little bit of experience. If that daunts you, you can buy pre-builds or mostly pre-builds if you can find somebody reliable there. Pretty alright. You're going to want to, double check your manufacturer reviews and shit like that to make sure, especially because I feel like branded PCs have become a pretty big thing in our sphere. If gaming is your primary focus, as it says in the question, probably what I would do is how I kind of picked my base plate for my PC was I looked up the specs of games coming up I was interested in running and made sure that I was finding something in my price range that hit those levels. And do remember that, to have most things, work, you don't need the top level. So you can still be using several generations ago, graphics cards and still run most things. I think the most important things these days is a lot more new games are SSD required.
Yes.
They're just optimized that way, so you're probably going to want to make sure to budget that in. And in our patron chat, Crystalite says, PC part picker reliably shows physical size compatibility. That's another really big one that's important. Because do remember, especially if you are doing your own build, you are going to need to cram all that shit in the case. And semiconductors, you can't really, if it don't fit, force it, Don't do that. They're sensitive. Yeah, GPUs are big fucking honkers. Oh, actually, yeah, that's another really good one. Start saying. Also, remember, you get I don't know exactly the whys. I'm not a computer science expert, but the way RAM works, you want to make sure you have your RAM on two separate sticks. One big stick is less optimal than two smaller sticks. Like I said, I'm not exactly sure why, but it is true. So you'll get a lot more juice for your. I can't think of an oos rhyming that works for
Jesus,
money.
That thing is huge. What the fuck?
Yeah, no. Sorry, somebody in Patreon chat posted a pretty standard-looking desktop tower size and then showing you what a 4090 looks like. It's a burglar stunner for sure. I think that 4090 is as big as a PlayStation 1.
No, it's bigger than it was big as a PS2.
Yeah, that was my first thought. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not quite PS2 size, but it's big.
I think it's PS2 size.
Oh, feel free to leave that comment on the show later, Chris Starlight. I'm sure there will be people who are listening to this episode who are probably also going to be like, I've also heard that, but don't know why. But yeah, it's a big stonker. That's a fucking brick. It's really funny to think about that, because, for a while, we were actually obeying, Moore's Law, which was, was it every 6 months or every 12 months? The amount of semiconductors per chip doubled, but eventually we ran up into the hard limits of physics. So that's why you started seeing CPUs and stuff that were multi-core, because we literally hit the point where we could not actually fit more transistors on the chips, and so we went from computers getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller to now computers are getting bigger and bigger and bigger again. Same with phones, though some of that I think might just be convenience of the screen size, but yeah, computers, they're fun.
All right, so let's move on it. This next one comes from the man who has watched 100 hours of Laptop XGO in September, another 100 in October, and probably not as much in November to save them for work busy season next year, who will probably just call himself the 100-hour man going forward. That's a good name, the 100-hour man.
You got a good system.
But they say, Dear Lucky Omega, thank you again for getting to my comment 3 weeks ago. Any of you asked about my weird situation about having to make an alt, replay through all the story before playing LB6 on my main. As I said, it's a long story, but in case you are interested, I'll make a comment to this post explaining why I'm doing that. You can read it if you want, based on the link once you see it. It is
Yeah, I pre-read it. It's a pretty chunky paragraph. So if you're curious, 100-hour man, I guess I've read your comment. I don't know. It's.
I don't think I'll read it on air, but I will read it.
Yeah.
But anyways, my question for this week is, with FGO possibly starting to wrap up in the next anniversary, we don't have a lot of time for more collaboration events, by my estimation. Hypothetically, if we can get one more, which would you prefer it to be? A Tsukihime event or a Fate Strange Fake event? Personally, if you had me 6 months ago, I would have said Tsukihime, but now with CL just coming into the game, I'm thinking the Fate Strange Fake would have the opportunity to give us a lot more interesting servants and can craft a better story, unless Natsu finally gives us the Tsukihime Remake Part 2. Hope you have a great week.
Yeah.
What event would I have?
Oh, man, I feel like...
The collaboration that gives me my Toko. I'm still slightly upset about this.
That would probably be more likely to be Tsukihime, but I truly don't know, because Strange Fake is wild. I'm pretty sure Toko's actually, like, in the background of Strange Fake. She's not, like, on the scene, but other characters refer to her, because it is modern.
Yes, freaking... Oh god, I can't remember the fucking girl's name. The psychopath one. I want to say Francesca.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think it's Francesca.
Yeah, Francesco mentions that she once pissed off Toko Aozaki, and Toko kept killing her, and she had to go beg from the assistance from like either her family or the mage association to get Toko to stop killing her constantly.
What we've learned: don't piss off Toko. She will fuck your shit up.
Yes,
as that one guy from Kano Kyokai learned. Woo! I killed her. I'm the best. Toko shows up, lights a cigarette. Are you sure about that? But yeah, probably I'd lean towards Strange Fake. I feel like that's been teased, and there's a lot of opportunity for servants there, because God knows there are a lot of servants in Strange Fake. Whereas, like, with Tsukihime, there are still heroines left, obviously, but I definitely feel like the story would feel probably a little more limited, because we're not, even as the commenter says, you know, we are not through the back half of that remake yet, so I don't know how much Nasu would want to spoil ahead of time. This is a thing we've talked about before, but FGO collabs are very interesting about how they handle spoilers from other media. Like, the FGO collabs are not, like, teases to, like, incentivize you to go check out the other Fate media. They're like, hey, you're only going to get maximum enjoyment out of this if you are a fan of FGO and also are completely caught up on this thing. Which has been a little rough for times, like the Requiem collab, where there's literally no legal, authorized, licensed way for us to access that shit, because it's not... unless you read Japanese and have the books, like, imported. So yeah, it's an odd one. But yeah, I think I would lean Strange Fake.
Well, I think I about that. And that was our last one. So everyone, thank you very much for all your words. Hope we see more of you next week.
Yeah, good mailbag, everybody. Okay. We've clocked almost an hour on the mission clock. Well, it'll probably be shorter. So I will first bring up, as we enter, Caldea's Free Talk, Tam Lin Cup thoughts. MORGANFES, as people call it. The story format is definitely like an Eurofez. But, where are you at with the story chapters, Lucky? I know you said you haven't been farming.
I'm done.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. So yeah, such as it is, thoughts about the story. I mean, like most of these festival type events, I do kind of feel like the story is usually more of a vector for gags, basically.
Yeah.
Like, we do at least introduce a brand new character, and I think we do a pretty decent job of showing off what's up with Burrito Mars. Mm-hmm. Though it is certainly truncated. But if you want to talk about the funnies, I mean, it certainly does have them. The introduction itself has loads and loads of jokes. Just the idea that, like... Well, first of all, there's so many things stacked up in the intro, but, like, Burrito Mart shows up in her armor out of nowhere and fights us, and then almost does the fucking dark helmet. I can't breathe in this thing! Sorry, chat. We've been... technically on camera, but we've been shooting roll for the future Sons of Forest project, and we got on a Spaceballs kick the other day. But that's a good one, and then, begging Morgan to take her under our wing, and we learn very rapidly that, one, Morgan has built a fucking, wipeout course from hell, and two, she decided to do this because apparently, Barghest got Morgan into DBZ? Like, as usual, we don't name names, but it's very clear that they are referencing, like, classic battle manga. I think Blackbeard basically, I don't remember if he uses the phrase Monkey King, but he basically says, the powered up fighters and the wishing orbs. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, great. So, like, I feel like all those gags hit you like a ton of bricks. The jokes they have with the fucking, the commentators,
Oh, no, I love the commentators.
Taiwan Wong is color commentator, Morgan is there, Lady Avalon is the interviewer. What did Doman do? He, like, sees this shit going on and is like, yes, interesting. And his next text box, I think he's, like, production assistant or something.
Yeah, yes.
No, so, like, it keeps going on. Yes, no, also the fucking, I tweeted this, like, in all caps, but it's, like, the diabolic crime chamber or something. We're very close to the hypersonic lion tamer. Yeah, no, so, like, that's all real good. Love that stuff. We were eating for days off that. And we get a decent amount of stuff. We get a little bit of Gray and Waver. I kind of feel like they were only added because we got Estrella in here.
Grand Mock.
Yes. Which, as I pointed out in the one and they bring up in the episode, Estrella does actually have a point to be here, literally in Spencer's Fairy Queen. The actual Roman goddess Estrella raised Artegall, the Knight of Justice, who is Breezomart 2's dad. So, like, that was a good pull. And, of course, there's some great Babo lines in there, which she calls out Estrella. She's like, we have Barghest at home, thank you. But Baba and she, like, bonding with Gray a little is cute. Gray has her hood up the whole time as part of her default sprite, so, like, I don't know for sure, but I'm wondering if people are, like, getting the vibe because Gray herself is a saber face.
Maybe. I do believe that Balbanshi was at some point dragging around Castoria somewhere. Or was that in one of the fights somewhere? I don't remember.
Yeah, Castoria's in one of the fights. I also said, I think I screen grabbed it, but just seeing Gareth Morgan and Gawain all on screen, like, talking together, I'm like, yes, peak content. This is what I am here for. There are some very good gags. I think it's the first, but it might be the second of this round. I just, like, happened to clear it earlier, and I forget who the middle one is, but it's got Zhang Yu and Yu Mei Ren in there, and Zhang Yu is, like, Mr. Optimal, and Yu Mei Ren is Mrs. Inappropriate. So, like, the name gags, of course, are great, like they are every year. So they do a lot of fun stuff, and I think all of the groups of characters you see are setups for some of the free quests. So that's good, but yeah, like I said, it's a little small. I'm like honestly kind of surprised. I guess they really liked like Breedomart's artwork because there's like a special CE at the conclusion of this event. So I'm like, oh, this is nice. It's one of those cases where we get that extra production value. But yeah, it's a good little event. I do kind of appreciate that both our density of comedy and our actual story setup was a little heavier than a lot of our other one of these festivals. Like, good.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at, like, when you get to the final story chapter, Merlin is gone, and Morgan's like, I have replaced him. Does not explain anything.
No, I mean, yeah, she says, I've replaced that commentator, don't worry about it. And everybody's just like, yo, is Merlin dead? Like, did Morgan stuff him into a locker? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he was stuffed into a locker.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, I know this for a fact because like I said, I've been editing the first part of LB6. We know that our Merlin is scared of Morgan. Like, literally, there's that preamble in LB6 where he's, like, talking to us, and then he's like, oh, shit, there's a scary lady coming. I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. And at the time, like I said, briefly, you and I debate if that's meant to be Morgan, and I'm like, now, obviously, with full future knowledge, I'm like, oh, that's absolutely Morgan. He is worried about that lady.
Yes, that's Merlin's new MP, Locker of Avalon. That's where he's stuck.
Just be careful opening that locker. Make sure the books don't fall on you. But yeah, I think that's all I got to say about the Tam Lin Cup. Anything else you want to bring up, Lucky?
No, not particularly. I think it was, like, story-wise is a little enjoyable, and like I said, it's very much, like, as long as I'm not involving myself with the ultra-hard challenges, it's, it's kind of brain dead, which is fine. I don't have the IQ to be burning here. I really don't.
Well, then, let's do servant deeds.
Yay!
Alright, I start at the top. Pharaoh detected. Ha ha ha, laughs in Egypt game. But yes, the Boy King is here, and he does have a couple of hidden things. I believe he's got more of the locked ascensions. His NP name is actually a question mark. One of his skills is like question marks. So I assume that will be cleared up later in the event story. But yeah, we got a new SSR Archer. And he is arts focused, which is not super crowded for archers. Thank God. He's got quick arts buster, slightly higher hit counts. I believe he's 4 and 4 for quick and arts. And because he's got 3 arts cards, that means lower NP gain, I believe. Sorry. Excuse me. Burp's not calling me. I think he's 0.38 NP gain. And he does lean more HP than attack, which is good because there are a lot of high attack archers. Again, it's I don't know why Archer ended up so crowded early, just based on the way game design is, but it kind of was. So it's definitely a space where you got to make some room for yourself. So fun Noble Phantasm, fun NP here. It's single target. It deals bonus damage to demonic enemies. It hits them with 1k curse damage for 5, and evil curse for plus 100% curse damage for 5. So it's actually 2k for 5.
Jesus.
Yeah, so it's doubled. It has a maxed out instant kill chance. Like, literally, the instant kill chance is 100%. Obviously, that doesn't mean they will actually be instant killed every time, because servants and higher rarity enemies have, like, different formulas to resist instant death. But, I believe the way they phrased it is if it's a bronze enemy, 100% instant kill rate should instant kill them every time.
Oh.
So yeah, that's maxed out. But also 500% chance to sacrifice yourself. It is a self-nuke NP. I would not say, 5-star Arash because it is single target, but yes, definitely that same sort of vibe. So, he is going to kill and curse the shit out of whoever he's targeting, but he does go down after, so you got to employ it carefully. The overcharge is just NP damage up for the turn first. But yeah, very much Curse of the Mummy. I saw some of the footage, and I'm like, this shit looks very sick. So, first skill, 10 to 20% NP battery for the team, and also 10 to 20% NP damage. That's 3 turns. And then 2 separate funny buffs, on timer buffs, I should say. So, first of all, if a Guts triggers on King Tut, he drops 30 stars. And if he dies, he drops 30 stars. These are separate. They do not trigger at the same time because you don't actually leave the field when you Guts. So hypothetically, that means that if both of those trigger in one turn, you can get 60 stars. So, like, big passing the buck energy here. A lot of crazy stuff you can do with that. Second skill is a 20 to 30% battery on self, so that means we are up to 50% battery. But also, hey, remember how I said his NP gives you, 1k curse, for 5 turns and also 100% evil curse? His second skill gives him 3 turns of doing 500 curse on normal attack for 5 turns. Which, obviously, if you did, you would have to order it like, AA and, Arts NP, or use a Guts. But you'd have to set it up. That means you can get a lot of curse. It's also 20 to 30% Arts up for 3 turns. Speaking of Guts, his third skill is a one-time 3-turn Guts for 3k to 5k HP. Big HP. Once again, I love this for a lot of later servants, but just 3 turns of debuff immunity. Fuck you, no debuffs. Don't want them. And another 20 to 30% battery on self. That's right, this guy's got 80% battery, 20 of which is for the whole team. Yes, no, very much I think the game wants you to be able to, because they've made his NP gain lower because of the ease of doing, arts chains, I think they've got this set up so that, they want you to be able to either go 0 to 60 very well, because if you do the append skill for 20% starting battery, you do mana loading, that's 100% battery. Right there. No need to worry about CEs. Without art support, by the way. This is pre-getting, Castoria and Lady Avalon into the mix. You're already technically at a possible 100% battery. But I think they want you to have that potential so that you can correct your own looping, because I'm pretty sure the idea is that, you fire arts, you curse the shit out of them, you possibly instant kill them or whatever, and then the self-sacrifice kicks in, Guts triggers, you vomit up 30 stars, and then you NP them again when you don't have your Guts, and King Tut goes down, and then you hit him with, you've got another 30 stars for follow-up. There's probably some very fun stuff you can do here, and definitely is, I think, a unique enough kit for what we got going on. Which is good, because I did see this, I've seen this in a couple of other places, not really in our own community lately, but I think some people have said some stuff to the effect of that before, but I do kind of feel like FGO's design for certain 5-star servants is getting kind of samey these days. Like, a lot of them are, like, exactly a 30% battery, exactly, like, a 1 or 2 card, card up. Sometimes some kind of hard defense, Like, the game's been going on for almost 10 years, so we're getting, like, truly unique mechanics is much less common, but this is a pretty good one. For passives, you've got Magic Resistance A-, so very good inherent debuff resistance. He's got a special independent action Canopic Jars for only Arts crit damage up, which is good because he has 3 Arts cards anyway. Does have Divinity C for that extra damage, and also has a unique passive, which gives him 30% debuff success rate on curse only. So enemies will not be dodging, sweet curse. Team Curse has a great new member. Plenty of funny curse strats you can set up with a lot of our fun characters, and this will be probably a good addition. And like I said, he has a very high instant kill rate, and he's got a trait damage on his NP and the curse for follow-up. So, pretty good shit. Definitely super fun. And we've only seen a couple of Ascensions so far, but, they've done exactly what I would have thought with the art direction. I do like a couple of different designs. And also, let me see if I can... So this is a single artist. I think this might be his first servant design. Yeah, pretty good. But, let's see, I was checking his alignment. Okay, lawful good. So not necessarily a great blend with our boy Doman, but, there's still, I think, several curse buffers. I almost said buffers. Curse buffers? Well, let's talk about the welfare, because we got one of this.
Yeah.
Miner Gogh. Van Gogh, parentheses, Miner. I really hope this is covered in the event story, but I really want to know who showed Van Gogh Minecraft. We don't have YouTube in the Bleached Earth future, so, like, we can't have just given her social media.
Well, that clearly means that someone just said, I don't know, maybe Blackbeard has it on, like, a computer somewhere. I'm willing to blame Blackbeard.
In Osakaba Hime's room of 5,000 tablets, she has one tablet just to play Minecraft.
I can also see this.
But yeah, so she is a Lancer, like I said. She's pretty typical, classic Lancer setup. Quick arts, buster. They did a really interesting thing here. So she's got high NP gain because she's only got 1 arts card. It's like 0.72. But her 2 quick cards are both 6 hits. So you should have no problem generating NP off quick. And speaking of which, her NP is just Minecraft. No, not exactly. It's actually a reference to another famous Van Gogh painting. It's, I'll just pull her entry on the wiki up to get the exact one, because it's, Cafe Terrace at Night.
Oh, I know that one, yeah.
Yeah. So it is a AoE quick. Only got 4 hits, so not crazy, but still pretty good. It does bonus damage to lawful enemies. It has a 40% chance to stun enemies for 1 turn. And it changes the battlefield to city for 5 turns. And it is what they've done with some of their more recent attempts to do field change. It is a buff that goes on the field, kind of like Ark's Millennium Castle. It does not go on the servant, unlike some earlier terrain change buffs. So for 5 turns, you will have the city buff, and it does stack. It is extendable if you keep doing it.
Neat.
Somebody asking in chat, how did Roman watch Majimari again? I believe at first he said that he basically just downloaded her archives, but definitely in one of the later singularities, Dr. Roman straight up says that he used the Chaldea computers to basically AI generate her.
Yeah.
Which is very funny because this was pre kind of the generative AI phase. But Dr. Roman just set up a chatbot to clone Majimari's content. And the overcharge effect for Go Miner is just increases NP damage for 1 turn again. Activating first, it's 20 to 40%. But yeah, so if you have any servants who rely on city battlefield, that's one that's a little more unusual, but you're going to do that for 5 turns, and bonus damage to lawful, 40% chance to stun. Pretty alright. For skills, first skill does cost you 10 stars, so you got to keep that in mind. But it always, no matter what, gives your whole party 10 to 20% NP gain. And also, it lets you pick. You get to pick whether you want party-wide 10 to 20% quick arts or buster up for 3 turns. And it is a 4-turn cooldown at minimum. So, not the biggest numbers, but a fairly reliable and set-upable team-wide support, possibly with the right skill cooldown buffs. You might even make it, like, double stackable, like, straight-up loopable. Because they know that, for instance, Maid Alter, who is also a quick, has, like, a -1 turn skill cooldown. There's a couple of others lying out there. So, yeah, a very interesting, pretty strong buff. Second skill, named after another Van Gogh painting, the Potato Eaters, is a very strong buff. It is a 1k to 3k max health up for 3 turns. And for a 4-star Lancer, Van Gogh already leans pretty heavily on the HP. If you fire this off at max level, even before Grayling comes in, you're going to give Lancer Go the same HP as a 5-star Lancer. Like, she goes to, like, 15k with that plus 3k, so very strong. It's a 20 to 30% battery. It is 10 to 20 stars, no matter what, and if you're on a city battlefield, an additional 10 stars. So possibly dropping you, up to 40 stars, 10 of which can be used to fuel your first skill, with a normal battery and a pretty strong max HP up. Final skill is a fairly normal defensive buff. It gives her 2 times 3 turns evade, and a 20 to 30% crit resistance for 3 turns. So just very solid defense. Passives, we've got a unique Buster Up passive for like 4% extra Buster damage, but the big thing is her 2 Buster cards have plus 30% extra Star Gen. And remember that Star Gen is Buster's second stat. Actually, this is a thing I don't know if we've talked about in a while. If people don't know, the bonuses for each card type, obviously, if you're doing chains, but every card type has kind of a secondary focus, which is Buster is the, best damage, but also generates some Star Gen inherently. Quick gives you most Star Gen inherently, and also gives you a little bit of NP gain, but has no, like, bonus damage. Arts has NP gain, and a little bit of bonus damage, but basically no extra Star Generation modifier. So, Buster is already your second best card for Star Gen, and this is a 30% on top of that. Still got existence outside the domain D for a couple of crit stars every turn, also just 4% passive debuff resistance. And another unique passive, which I'm pretty sure is named after another Van Gogh painting, Self-Portrait as a Sunflower, which just gives her 30% passive resistance to mental debuffs at all times. So that's, sleep, charm, confusion, terror, that kind of stuff. Just 30% resistance to that at all times. Very solid selection for a welfare. Should be solid for AoE, plenty of fun stuff. And if you already have a good AoE Lancer, still has some fairly unique stuff with that city out there. And again, very, for a welfare 4-star, very tanky. A solid evade, a decent crit resist, pretty good debuff resistances, and, like I said, 3k max HP up for 3 turns. Very fun, very fun. Looks like a great time in the event. But yeah, that catches us up on our news. Thankfully, future editor me doesn't have to edit this. He'd be very annoyed about when we stumble over our words. Though, admittedly, that's mostly because of that old adage about, Lotho parroted this the other day, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. I want to make us sound, cleaner and smarter. So I want to trim out when we fumble and flub, but also sometimes the flubs are just part of the conversation flow, and I don't want to, fuck up the audio to make us sound better. We're mostly alright. But, means it's time for What's Up stuff.
Yeah!
Kinda got a couple weeks of things, packed up in there. Because I was already catching up on a few things, last week, and now have kept on. The first is, which will probably be something, because as we're recording this, it's only Friday, something that'll be on a lot of people's minds, but I did and continue to be caught up on Dandadan, finally.
Yeah!
A couple weeks ago, I sat down and watched through the 5 episodes that were out, like, all in a bunch, and I have been keeping up every Thursday since then.
Excellent.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. And, I mean, I want to preface this because some people may think, especially one of those people being lucky, that if I just say straight up, like, by the way, the show is totally my jam, some of you will say, yeah, no, duh. I knew going in from, like, seeing clips when, like, the first episode aired, the show was absolutely in my wheelhouse already, but I didn't need to take the time to sit down. But if you don't know my taste, the show is absolutely inside my wheelhouse. And I find myself often in my brain humming the opener. Great opening. Watch it every time.
Creepy Nuts does good work.
Yeah.
They have very catchy lyrics.
Yes. Well, and I love just how, like, because I've seen the lyrics because, funnily enough, one of the world's most popular streamers, VTuber Iron Mouse, did a cover recently. I linked it in our music channel just today, but I've seen it a few times around. But that also has, like, the subtitles baked in. So, like, some of the lines I can catch, like, one of the lines is just, Kuwabara, like, 3 times, which I get because of Metal Gear Solid 3. But, like, there's some other just, like, rapid fire, like, slang and other nonsense zingers. But yeah, it's real good stuff. And obviously, I think it's is it Science Star doing it?
Yes, it is Science Star.
Yeah, I thought so from the logos and stuff. But they're doing great work as always. But like, I mean, I don't like to overhype, but I also feel like there are parts of this anime I can't praise enough because everything is just real good, guys. It is the meme going around these days is cinema. Possibly with hand gestures, but also if you've ever heard the phrase Kino, that's literally just German, I think, for cinema.
Yes.
So yes, it's very Kino. Like, this is a lovingly handcrafted anime adaptation to a manga, which from the comparisons to manga panels to animation I've seen on Twitter usually, regularly, and stuff, is already well drawn and well made in manga form. And then this is very lovingly crafted to basically match that quality. Like, when they want to do action stuff, they do, real high quality, Sakuga, very buttery smooth frames. But also I want to say just there's a lot of stuff I really like. One of the things I really like about the anime is how they do, even though they've got a really catchy opening, how they do cold opens. If you don't know, chat, the term cold open is if you're watching a TV show, and sometimes this applies to movie, but mostly for TV shows. You're watching a TV show that has like a set, introduction, opening, credits, and themes and stuff. When you go into the plot right away without showing the opening, that is, I think all of that technically is a form of cold open, but
yes.
Dandadan specifically does like really long cold opens. Like, I think there's a couple of episodes that almost go for like 7 minutes before they play the OP.
Oh, yeah, and it's always right after they drop some sort of bomb on you every time.
Yeah, no, they are using the opener as almost like their own version of the roundabout cut, right? Like,
yes,
like they're not afraid to show you like the first whole ass action sequence in an episode, let it play out, hit some like big reveal or emotional moment, and then be like dun 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 dun. And, like, it's all really great work. I also love what they do, especially because this is all, like, I think anime original, but I love what they do with the lighting. Like, when something supernatural is happening and they, like, suddenly cast everything over in this, like, pinkish or reddish glare.
Well, technically that is in the manga, but because the manga is black and white, you don't necessarily get to see it. Basically what's happening is when something supernatural or alien happens, they get put into something called the empty space, which is basically an alternate dimension, which is why everything can get fucking wrecked and no one fucking notices.
The classic.
But Science Saru has made it like very visually telling that that's happening right then and there.
Yes, and they do great work with it. And I think they do different color palettes for different things. There are going to be some slight first episode spoilers in this discussion, chat. I'll try to avoid stuff from, like, deeper episodes past, especially because we're in the middle of, well, technically I think we're episode 7 ends, like, the second, story beat, basically.
No, we have a couple more episodes on this story beat.
Okay.
I don't know if there'll be 1 or 2, but, I think we're, like...
Okay, so there's some follow-up, some post-game as we were. Okay.
Yeah,
we'll try to avoid spoiling anything there, especially because, like, a lot of people were, emotionally roller coastered and wrecked by the latest episode.
Yes,
which again is like if the whole show is cinema, the 7th episode is like double cinema. Like, it's large chunks of it are shot like an art house movie. And I think I saw somebody on Twitter talking about it where they're like, again, talking about just how Science Star handles it. The 7th episode does a lot of really good stuff with silence or very small amounts of background noise, right? Like, completely eliminate background noise and bed music and just run it up. But like I said, when they, when alien stuff is happening, it's, does a slightly different color palette, than when yokai stuff is happening. Like, the yokai stuff is usually in, like, reds, and the alien stuff was, like, blue, And then obviously the Flatwoods monster encounter was like all grayscale. So yeah, it's like just beautifully shot. And like I said, when the action kicks up, it's really good. But also they do a lot of like not action stuff that looks really good, you know?
Well, it makes sense because as much as there's like action scenes and whatnot, at the heart of this story, it's actually a romance story between our two mains.
Yeah,
and everything and everything around it is just to serve that plot.
Yeah, the first episode is even titled "This is how a romance starts." You know?
Yeah,
like yeah. But no, it's Dandadan is one of those wonderful genre blending adventures. This is all first episode stuff, so I'll stay it. But like one of the parts I love the most about the setup is the fact that the opposite nerd gets the power set, like, or has the encounter. Like Momo doesn't believe in aliens; she's the one who gets sucked up into a UFO and becomes an Esper. And Ken is like, I don't believe in ghosts. He's the one who gets fucking possessed. Like that's just so. It's such a good foil moment the way the two characters bounce off each other already. And then also they're just like, no, that's just so funny. Like it's part of the comedy, but also sets up the fact that, like I said, this is one of those classic like anime and manga genre blenders. Like the feeling that Dandadan gives me, I think the only way I can describe how I feel like it mixes and matches a lot of genre elements and will like pivot from like, classic like high school romantic like drama beats to, urban fantasy to just, yeah, they got some gags. They got some real funny zingers in there. Like, it almost makes me feel like, imagine if you're watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but we skip straight to the part where it's already JoJo, and we don't have any of the Castlevania stuff to set it up where you think it might be normal. Like, the show just feels kind of, like, quirky and unique right off the get. And, like, all that is just like I said, great pluses to me. And yes, everything's, like I said, so well made. Great show. I do not know how far this, season will go, but
my assumption is we're gonna get to the third arc, which will introduce that the last male character you see in the opening, and I highly doubt we'll go further than that because the fourth arc is actually really long.
Yeah, that really sounds like if they. I mean, I hope and assume they'll get a second core at some date. Because the show's really well made and I think it's reviewing very well, but also, like, the way anime production, works is very wild these days. I think somebody mentioned that, like, the premiere of the first core of My Hero, the anime adaptation, was almost 10 years ago.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no. And that's, like, because My Hero's anime is doing the smart thing and they're, like, taking breaks between arcs so they can, make sure they get enough shit in the tank and, like, everything flows well. And obviously they did actually make it to the manga did wrap, so like they're clear out. But yeah, so like I don't know when a second season will come, but that may mean I may have to actually catch up to the manga once the anime ends.
You can read it on Manga Plus, and Manga Plus does let you read the chapter once for free. If you try to go back, you have to actually sign up. It really sucks when your freaking your tablet borks and closes on you, and then you have to lose like 5 pages though. Like he's been reading Sakamoto Days, which also had it has its anime adaptation coming out here pretty soon. I believe it's January on Netflix.
But yeah, no, Dandadan, very good. I mean, we all, like I said, anybody who's actually watched it knows it's good. But in case you haven't gotten it, check it out. I would say that like. We're probably at a stage of, like, I would say, we talk about giving an anime the 3-episode watch to be sure. This is probably a 1-episode watch. If you watch the first episode and you're not in it, the show is probably not for you. You should probably give it the 3-episode try just to be sure, but like I said, this one's, like, very effective at drawing everything in right away. Yeah, I'm not watching the dub, but I've seen some clips. The dub is also, like, super excellently made. The actors and the lines they got for Ira I've seen a clip of it. It's phenomenal.
I actually found this interesting. I actually heard like people going around talking about how dubs all sound the same, and they were using Dandadan's for example. I was like, no, that's the wrong example. Dandadan's dub is actually pretty good. It's like I don't disagree with like the samey sounding because that's the problem I have, but not with Dandadan. It's like,
and I think some of the it's getting better these days as the. Well, Momo's a ghetto, so I don't know if she should sound super country. I think there are some country jokes in there. But like, I believe at one point the dub has TG referred to somebody as an idiot, which is probably pretty good. But yeah, I think the industry's getting better because things are getting a little more spread out, but there also are still being consolidated through like Crunchyroll. So like, in a lot of cases, you know, you're looking at a lot of pools or packs of the same actors who get cast a lot. And some of them do get like, depending on how casting goes for a season, I think like some English actors can get bundled into, you know, like 2 or 3 shows a core. So you may possibly be hearing a lot of these people everywhere. I think some of that also has to do with like who the translation and localization teams are as well. That's something that I definitely think has been getting bigger as anime has gotten bigger. So you can get a little variety. But yeah, no. Dandadan is definitely one of those shows. Like I said, I've seen some of the dub clips. They are actually like, you know, doing their own approach to the dubbing, which is like they are not as literal, but very good at capturing the spirit of the lines and the characters, which is good. Sorry, I'm just smiling to myself. I like it's also such a really good thing, even in the Japanese and original. Fucking Ken Okurun's like switch from normal to full throttle is like, it's so good.
Actually, I haven't heard the dub. I haven't listened to the dub, but like the switch from TG Ken to regular Ken to TG Ken is like so jarring in how he speaks as well. It's like I'm wondering how they do that with the dub because
I think for example, this is what I read. I haven't actually heard it in play, but in the sub, for instance, when he says, you know, switches to being super informal and says Momo-chan, I think it's like Momo Babe or like baby, like.
It's one of those weird things that's hard to translate directly into English. So that's
you have to like kind of find your groove. But like I said, that's even so in the original Japanese, I love that switch so much. It's so like funny. Just be like, man, I'm so depressed.
Hugh. It's so great. Yeah. It's actually super hilarious too. Like slight spoilers. But only spiritual people can see Ken when he's like that. So even though we see him as like this souped up version of himself, to normal ass looking people, he would just be regular ass Ken, just kind of hunching over. It's just so funny to think about sometimes.
Yeah. No, that's a great a great moment in the show where fucking grabs that guy, and I'm like, this poor son of a bitch has no idea what's happening.
No, he doesn't.
But yeah, no, and like I said, it's just the general like, I would say urban fantasy vibes, but it is that urban fantasy moment in just the way that like it's everything. Literally, it is ghosts and aliens, you know, together. But they do that wonderful blending, and I'm like, I'm such a fan of that kind of work. It honestly reminds me a lot of like the style of like urban fantasy and conspiracy stuff we got in like the earlier 2000s, you know, in like the 90s. Like these kids are basically. This is the 2010s X-Files, including the sexual tension. Only X-Files, of course, had the classic Monster of the Week format, which this doesn't really do. But yeah, no, it's a great vibe. Well, and I'll also say this: Monster of the Week works great when you're literally doing weekly television. Obviously, while manga chapters are weekly, I do not believe it is physically possible for a mangaka to resolve an entire Monster of the Week plot every week in like 10 pages. That'd be, I think you'd have to be Rohan Kishibe for that much speed. Like, it's been a while since I listened, so a lot of it blurs together. But I did talk about I was catching up on random episodes of the Shonen Flop podcast, which if you're interested in this manga stuff, you should check out. It is very funny. Where I think in some of their newer episodes, they talked about like manga that started around the same time as Dandadan, and obviously because they are on the show, Shonen Flop did not do as good. But it's a show, I've mentioned it before, but to mention it again, it's a show where a couple of hosts, and usually a third guest host, analyze a manga that was in Shonen Jump that has clearly been canceled. Like, it has obviously ended early, and kind of like analyzing, you know, how it got there, whether it was actually like deservedly canceled or just, you know, the time wasn't right kind of stuff. Because, like, you might think from a name like Shonen Flop, it's all negative. No. Like, some of the manga they review, like, definitely sound like they probably deserved to be cut. They were clearly not working. But others are definitely, like, more in the hidden gem type category. But yeah, it's really interesting to think about, like, some of these are, like, only in the, like, late 20s or early 30s of chapters about how much they get resolved. Also, as a complete aside, because I don't think I really have much more to say about Dandadan without, like, outright getting into the spoiler zone of, like, discussing everything, which I would love to do, but like I said, I want to leave the people at home a chance to catch up if they haven't. Check it out. It's streaming, like, everywhere this season, which is wild. Like, it's on Crunchyroll, Netflix, and I think Hulu in some jurisdictions as well. Which I personally think is probably a little healthier for the anime industry. If we could get more shows have enough staying power to get distributed across multiple outlets. But like the Shonen Flop guys have, like, they're, like, at over 100 episodes, so they've gone through so many that they developed, like, a system where you can, like, tell how it ends. Like, when a manga gets canceled, there's usually, like, you usually have a couple of weeks of lead time. Like it seems like the editors will usually let you know you're gonna get cut a little while. So, like, the two primary endings are either you do a time skip and you basically show what the ending of your manga would have been, which actually gives you conclusion, or the wilder one is a manga that's clearly being canceled will end, but it will end the chapter like they're getting another chapter, and, like, sometimes that's so weird. And then sometimes, very rarely, the mangaka gets really weird with it. Oh, God, I don't remember the name of which manga it was, but one of them, in the last couple chapters, the author got really meta and really strong about calling out his editor. Like, literally, I think one of the other supporting characters turned to, like, the main female lead and was like, "Hey, have you noticed you've become a shittier character?" literally, like, started rambling in the manga panels about, like, the bad relationship with his editor and, like, the creative changes he was forced to make. I'll have to double check if I got the name right. But yeah, so Dandadan, good. When I next have a large block of time to catch up, I am going to catch up on Dragon Ball Daima, but I have not done that yet. But it's all on my list. And I do believe that Daima is similar to Dandadan, where, like, I think it's both on Netflix and CR. So if you only have one, you're good. Something I did notice while perusing Netflix for other stuff also was that, at least right now, the first 3 seasons of The Venture Brothers is on Netflix.
Oh my.
That is something I have occasionally been watching a few episodes of when it's late at night and I need a good chuckle. I've been a huge fan of The Venture Brothers for, like, forever, so for me, a lot of the early episode jokes still land. It is a show that I have to, like, I feel like I have to cautiously recommend to people because, like, I've been watching those first season episodes. These guys, clearly didn't think they were going very far or lasting very long, just being a weird Adult Swim cartoon, like they have a lot of the obvious parodies and back and forth and stuff. There's, the Baron Underbite and the Mighty Monarch, who in, like, the pilot has a completely different character design. I think the animation's, like, literally crappier in the pilot as well. Also, no, Axe, that's actually, like, a very correct way to talk about it. I believe that and this may have been in, like, season 3 or 4, the showrunners literally said that Venture Brothers is a show about failure and, like, what happens out of it. All the characters in the show, in a sense, are constantly failing, but also, as Axe brought up in the patron chat, like, they are failing forward continuously. And in a lot of ways, it's I think, a much stronger show for that. But also, it's very interesting to see when, like, later episodes, they do a lot of, like, pathos and character growth with, like, Brock. Probably because, Patrick Warburton is one of the best performers on the show. But, like, early couple episode, Brock is, like, so lizard brain simple. The fucking first episode, they pull up to the United Nations. Brock opens the luggage rack on the outside of the X-1 jet, and a crocodile falls out. Which, by the way, Dr. Venture turns to the UN guards and is like, no, let my man take care of this. As Brock wrestles and kills the gator with just his knife. Blood everywhere, wipes the knife on the one clean. And then one of the UN guys is like, "Sir, you can't bring that weapon in here." And Brock Sampson is just like, "Go ahead, take it from me." And like, this poor, like, nerdy UN guard looks at his buddies and they're shaking their head like, "No, man, don't do it." He turns back, he, reaches for it, and the kid just gets fucking pretzeled. And it's just like, yeah, while I do not think that later season Brock Sampson would not be afraid to, like, judo flip a kid who was trying to, like, disarm his knife, I do not think he would have been quite as hyper-violent to just some rando doing his job, you know?
No, he does steal some random ass shit. I remember that time where he got captured and they're like, "Where's the thing, Brock?" He's like, "It's up my ass." And so, someone sticks their hand up his ass and he just clenches and everyone's like, "Oh God." And then he starts beating people with the guy who has his hand up his ass.
Yeah, that is very consistent about Brock, is that he is just the Swedish murder machine, and no matter what. Literally in episode 2, he's in a back alley poker game with some random guy while they're at the University of Mexico Community College. And the guy's won, Brock's knife and his pants, because he just lies and cheats and says, "Oh, full house." He's not holding a full house. And then Brock Sampson, literally naked, kicks the shit out of everybody there, whips them with his taken off jeans and stuff, and just, beats them while pantsless. All, by the way, for an engine part for his, 39 Charger, or his 69 Charger. That is also the episode with the introduction of Speedy, when the Monarch soldiers shoot Brock full of 9 million tranquilizer darts and run him over with their truck. and poor Speedy is just he's death grip choked, and just "Man, he's on there really good. What do we do?" Just put a dart in Speedy, put him out of his misery. They bury Brock in the desert, and he fucking comes back to life. He crawls out. That episode is great because I think that's the first time they do a really good Brock montage where he's just in the car. He tells Doc to get the boys, and they just play the 60s ass action music as Brock. It's still an Adult Swim, animated cartoon, so it's barely a step above Flash animation, but he just drives over minions over and over again until the fucking the windshield goes red with blood as the action music plays. No, it's like I said, the show is such a time capsule of its time, but it's still really good. And like I said, the first 3 seasons are up there. I hope they bring in some more stuff. And yeah, Golden Age is pretty good example. It's also, I think, a big send up of I would almost say well, it's got the hyper-violence of Golden Age comics, but it's like 60s era's cartoons. It's very clearly was written as a parody of Johnny Quest.
Yeah.
But
shit,
then,
Reese Bannon makes a cameo in one episode. He
Yeah.
dies, but he's there.
I think actually, who's supposed to be actual grown up Johnny Quest is a bit character. Some of the weird former kid sidekicks have some subplots. But yeah, so and another thing is like I said, the first season has some recurring bits that keep coming up and are part of the whole mythos. But the whole show is full of callbacks and brick jokes. They get to do so much stuff of just setting up jokes and then bringing them back over and over again. Ah yes, Dr. Harry Killinger and my magical murder bag. No, there's so much good stuff. Anyway, sorry, my brain just flashed to, I think it's episode 3 or 4, and the Baron Underbite is killing his minions who are skimming off the top, and he's like, "Check out I've given you a gift of Tiger Bomb." And it's tigers, and then one of the guys, his minions is like, "Should I clean up in there?" And he's like, "No, my diabolical plan has not yet reached its second phase." And then we cut to the inside of one of the henchmen, I think it's Girl Hitler, who literally is a woman with a Hitler mustache. That's it. That's her only gimmick. And she's called Girl Hitler. She looks under the tiger as it's trying to eat her face, and she's just like, C4, Tiger Bomb, I get it. It's comedy gold. It's so good. Like I said, some of the jokes are probably not going to be as well aged, but it was of its time, and overall, I think it's very high quality. So, yeah, check it out. Watch Vendor Brothers. Hopefully, like I said, they get more, because HBO Max seems like they are completely against putting any of their good original animation on that service and keeping it there. So hopefully Netflix can scoop a few of those. They've gotten Netflix has gotten 4 more seasons of Inuyasha. I think they may actually go all the way to the end of the original series. I gotta catch up on that rewatch sometime. I think they only had 2 seasons a couple years ago, and I watched through all of that, and I'm just I'm gonna use more of this. But as I said, I have so many other fun things to be checking out. So it's got to be careful about multitasking. One of those things next in my notes is F14 dropped 7.1.
Let's go!
Crossroads came out. Was able to get through all of MSQ on one stream, including a 40-minute diversion to do a hunt train, which took a while because it may have been a little early to slim down some of those instances. Square, the servers were not having a good time. I think
that is the first time I have ever seen. I cannot teleport to a location because there's too many players.
Yeah, that's what I had to say. Definitely in my, like, a little over 2 years of playing, I don't think I've ever seen the cannot teleport to location player limit reached before. I'm just like, what? Huh? So yeah. But 7.1 is out, and obviously not all the updates are out. We're going to have to wait a little bit for custom deliveries and Hildebrand. I want to see more of our things. Oh yeah, that's going to be so good. But we're already, like, absolutely setting up the heck out of, our usual post-story content, which seems to be going to some strong places. Like, immediately got some stuff to go on to follow through on everything. And I think, X saying, like, it is, like, two separate storylines. I think that is important because, like, 14 does usually do this, but the way the plot is kind of split up in Dawn Trail, I think it is important that we have separate, like, follow-up on both Zorilja and Sphene. Like, those are both very important characters who, possibly a little excessively got truncated in the base game, which happens, I think, a lot with antagonists. Like, obviously, like, we used Xenos for, like, a lot of stuff, but they did dip back into that for Stormblood with the patch content there, and kind of the same thing with Shadowbringers. Endwalker, we didn't really double dip, but we've talked about this. Endwalker has a weird patch cycle. I think they were truly, like, trying to buy some extra time to like, set up stuff without necessarily
I think it's
back
a problem.
On some things.
I think the problem with, like, I don't know if I mentioned those before, but the problem with the MSQ, Endwalker MSQ, post MSQ, is that it's after the Endwalker MSQ where, that's the, hard stop of a story.
Yeah. Endwalker is a full-blown climax, and, like, honestly, I don't think we really needed to do the usual, like, post-patch dissection on those characters. Like, I think we got everything we need to know about Endsinger and about Hermes in the previous arcs inside the story.
Yeah, like, it was really weird, but we really didn't need any denouement. Like, there was really nothing left to explain.
The Endwalker itself, like, the climax of Endwalker is the kind of, like, conclusion and its own denouement of a lot of story arc that we've been dealing with since, the beginning.
So, yeah, no, that's why, like, the post MSQ was weird, because it really couldn't build off what was already there, but they couldn't really necessarily get into what was coming next, so they had to kind of do their own little original thing, and yeah, no, it wasn't the best, but it was still interesting and explained some things.
Yeah, I still liked it. I feel like I'm of two minds, because when I was doing the content and when I think about the actual, like, quest content, I'm like, that was pretty fun. They integrated the new like a little trial series into that as well, and I'm like, yeah, that's all right. But then also when I think about it later, I'm like, man, that was really weird though. Like, there's this whole ass separate sub story that just slides out of nowhere in the patch MSQ. And I want to say, and if people haven't done this, I know, me saying haven't done something, optional in Final Fantasy XIV, but I've only been playing for 2 years, okay? There's a lot of stuff to catch up on. But I feel like the thematic denouement of Endwalker is in one of the Beast Tribe quests, the Gathering one specifically, if people don't know. But that one I feel like has the kind of, like, thematic coda to the whole story, especially because it's set in the final zone. So, like, that's one of those moments where, like, that gives you the kind of, like, payoff to the themes you want, but is not in the MSQ format. So, we kind of, like I said, we went our own places. But I think 7.1 does a very good job of, like, no, we still have some things. We got some stuff.
No, I do feel like we are actually continuing the story of Dawn Trail, which I think is important.
Yes. And even then I want to say, Pandemonium is also, like, Pandemonium is another one of those things that I think, like, thematically is also, like, super good for Endwalker, because it fucking wraps up questions we've had for years. They fucking brought back up the Heart of Sabik. Actually, that was another thing. Thank you, X, for mentioning that. That's another thing I was going to say was that, another thing that, like, they couldn't do, like, oh, how did all the different parts of Eorzea react to, the final days, because that's all what the role quests are about, right? Including a, kind of another thematic climax in Garlemald. So, like, yeah, that was definitely a case of, like, there were some things that, like, they put the normal follow-up content elsewhere because it fit better. So they didn't have anything to do. But Dawn Trail is like literally directly following up on immediately where the expansion like concluded.
Yeah.
And not even just for our antagonists. I think there's actually some like, not that he super needed it, but there's some good character development and like backstory stuff for Kona in the patch as well.
I believe that Bakul Jaja is going to be involved in the Alliance Raid series, so they might be getting some more on him over there. I haven't finished that bit, by the way, so I don't know, but he was mentioned.
Yeah, and it makes sense because I think the quest immediately sends you, like, the quest giver is a Mamulja, and it immediately sends you to Mamuk. I only, like, accepted the quest. I haven't gone through it yet. Like I said, I don't know if it just so happens that next Wednesday is when we're all locked in to do it. We'll do it. Otherwise, if we have,
I think I'm gonna try and get it done probably tomorrow, honestly, because remember we're on new Alliance rules. That means you only get one reward a week.
Yeah, like I said, if we want to try and do a big gathering Saturday, we can do that. Because, like I said, I'm fairly certain somewhere in the coming weeks, people will see on stream an Alliance raid run.
Probably.
But we can all get together Saturday if people are up for it. I'm totally down to clown. Like I said, I put this in my notes talking about all the different things I have to do because, like, I was already making sure to, like, log in, especially during the Moogle Tombstone event, and, like, do something most days on 14. But a lot of that was, like, I was grinding low-level stuff because I've been slowly working on leveling, like, White Mage and Warrior. Both of those are at 60, so we're trucking. But now, like they also added the Pelu Pelu Allied Society. Though actually, I do want to say, speaking of calling it, I think your original theory was very correct because while it is themed around the Pelu Pelu, it also directly involves the Hanu Hanu.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is,
it's actually very nice. I've actually reached stage 2 in them already.
Nice,
and it's actually quite fun. I enjoy it. You basically open up a travel agency.
Yeah,
and you're showing off. It's run by the Pelu Pelu, but it's showing off Hanu Hanu culture.
Yeah. And I want to say that, like, it reminds me of the structure of the Hippo Riders in Endwalker. Because, like, it's the battle one, but half the quests, maybe even more than half, are not actually fighting anybody.
I would say usually when I pick them up, 2 out of the 3 are usually just a go somewhere, talk to someone, or pick something up. And then the last one, you have to fight, like, a thing.
Yeah. No. It's because it's very nice to just be like you pick up a bunch of quests and like I've been using it to get some extra EXP on Picto because I just realized that my Pictomancer is the Pixies are also sometimes like that.
Yes,
but no, like, I realized I'm like 97 in Pictomancer, so it's real nice to just get quests, which is just rub insect repellent on alpacas. I smudge across the plaza and just like, all right, alpacas, here you go. So yeah, like that's It's a pretty good one that's, just in there for leveling and stuff. So yeah, there's definitely, content to get in every day. Catch one of your beast tribes, work on all your other stuff, do some duties. They've reformatted your it's a very fluffy alpaca thing. I think it's a little too real to literally be a piñata, but it almost looks like a piñata. But also they've like reformatted like Chloe's books, which I think people have been positively disposed to, like kind of how it breaks stuff up now. So yeah, it's just a good time to be in 14 and get a lot of stuff spinning because and boy howdy is there a lot of stuff to do. The reason why to hopped in the hunt train is because they added a new mount for sacks of nuts. You can get a brachiosaur, which looks pretty cool. I think some people must have had maxed out nuts and just immediately bought it because I saw a couple on the hunt train, which was like the day after it was in the game.
No, that happens. People have that horde mentality. If they aren't, like, maxed on their resources at any given time, people freak out. I don't know why, but they do.
I mean, I will admit, it's a lot easier if you just have enough in your back pocket when the new content drops, Mm-hmm. But also, I feel like, with hunting, it's a little different, but I feel like, actually, most of us, I think, in the group get a little bit of anxiety when we're like, there's big red letters that say, hey, by the way, you can't accept any more Tombstones of Poetics, and I'm just like, oh, shit, do I have anything I can spend those on? I'm not making anything out of this exchange. But yeah, so all that's in there, and the big one we're definitely going to have to schedule some time for is level 100 treasure dungeons, because all of the contest joke weapons got put into that. And as we brought up, the coffers are marketable. You can sell them. Right now, they're fucking expensive because they're super rare.
Yeah, even the damn...
the maps are also, like,
Yeah, the maps got expensive
which
too.
is very funny because I think literally before the patch, like we've done a couple of treasure dungeon runs, like both on and off stream, and like at some point we're just like, the maps are cheap. We can pick up more maps if we need more maps. Now it's like, ooh, no, we do not want to be doing that. That is costly. Luckily, I believe we have several level 100 gatherers, so.
Yeah, and I was actually thinking before. I know we were talking about going to Sons of Forest, but I might want to go do a little bit of Final Fantasy 14 just to go do my Pelo and get a map real quick.
Well, if we wanted to actually use maps, we can do that, but we can see what the time is. But yeah, so 14 is very strong. It's a great time, and there's more coming to come. Like you said, I feel like I don't want to like try and predict or have any expectations about Hildebrand. Like, just head empty, no thoughts, only bombs. Like, there's because I just feel like with the entire history of the Hildebrand quests up to now, I just like I can't have expectations. There is no expectation. Only God knows what will happen. And by God, I mean Yoshi P. But like, I've definitely noticed another big thing was that they have. Sorry, Art just posted the cheapest map right now is still. I mean, I've got like 2 million gil, so that's still I could buy a few of those. But like, damn, that's a lot.
Nah, I'm just gonna go do the blue collar thing, and I'm just gonna go get one.
I mean, hell, that's one of the reasons why I did level gatherers, and I was able to get Miner all the way up to 100. I'm not,
I could probably do that right now while we're still recording. Now that I think about it. Yeah, that's what I'll do.
Solid rocks, brother. Yeah, 15 I mean, well, that means if we ever got any extras, we could turn that shit around really fast. But yeah, no, there's lots of stuff to do, and there's so much there. But yeah, no, that's like literally, my progress with crafters and gatherers. I started leveling crafters because I'm like, man, I got a lot of damaged Orchestrion rolls I want to repair. Still, by the way, haven't gotten around to doing that because like those are all like all the AAR ones I have in my pocket are like master recipes for alchemists, which I am at a high enough level to do, but are a pain in the butt to unlock. So I have just not sat down and done that grind. I'm sure I will find time to do that, but it's not very appealing, sadly.
Yeah, that's right. Master Recipes 1 and 2 is fucking dumb.
Yeah,
once you get past that, it's just scripts. Scripts.
I've literally bought some of the higher level master recipes because you can just buy them because filling up on scripts is really easy when you're doing deliveries and shit. So that's not a big issue. But definitely like actually prepping the random crafter crap. But like my process started. All right, I've unlocked crafters. Okay, I understand the basic flow. Okay, so some of these have some materials. How do I get these materials? Well, some of them are in normal vendors. And then, some of them are marketable. And then I think the first time I had to open my fucking list and go like, you want how much for 99 of these? And then that was it. Like gatherers were actually, no, that's not true. I actually genuinely like fishing as a mechanic. I'm not like focused enough to knuckle down and like clear out the fishing log at every single place. But I think I have decent fun fishing, and I unlocked it to start to do like ocean fishing for a previous Moogle Tombstone event. So that's not spite. That's just the love of the fishing. Man, I love fishing. But mining and later botanist is definitely, gathering that way is definitely like, no. I'm doing this because I don't want to fucking deal with, people trying to snow me on these fucking prices. In fact, I went in on that action. I want that money.
They will.
Oh, and God knows, like, the other funny thing, I finally got my my retainer who's a miner up to 50, and like, if people don't know, if you've done normally time-sensitive nodes, your retainers can get those too. You sadly have to have mined it yourself first, so now I have like a long list of shit that's like level 50 to like find in the wild and actually dig once so that I can put them in there. But like, I remember our, like Darksteel ore, trick. I can have a retainer get 3 of those every hour if needed. Not a lot, but it's a steady drip, that kind of stuff. So like it all kind of like comes together, the more you do 14 stuff, the easier doing other 14 stuff is. So yeah, I definitely want to always keep working on crafting and gathering, and definitely the maps thing is another thing that's just like, yeah, that's fucking real good. I have so many fucking, there are a bunch of different levels, but I have so many maps in my inventory just from like randomly digging up. Like before Dawn Trail dropped, I got a pretty steady supply of the then best level 90 maps because I was doing the Gatherer Beast tribe. So sometimes I would just dig up a rock in Ultima Thule and be like, ooh, treasure map. Pocket. But yes, there's all kinds of fun things. And like we said, we haven't even gotten into the Alliance raid either.
Got into what?
Got into the Alliance raid either. I believe people are talking that up pretty well as well.
That's good.
Both as
Actually,
an interesting story time to like go through and do the content, and also mechanics TM. I'm also kind of curious to hear the music as well, because the Endwalker raids were like full of bops.
Well, since the Alliance raids are going to be best off of FF11, it's probably either going to be their straight up 11 music or probably renditions of Final Fantasy 11 music. That's my assumption, anyway. Yeah.
Oh, that does remind me. I saw somebody. I don't know how serious it was, but it was quote tweeted, but I saw a tweet of somebody with the crossover character. I don't remember what the elves were called in 11, but somebody was like, good. When can we make a character like this in 14? And somebody said, what are you talking about? Just go to the character creator menu and click Elizon. Because most of the 11 races have XPs in 14.
Yeah, Lalafels, Elizon, and I don't know
Kote.
The other one. Yeah, but Kote,
There's cat people in 11 as well. And also, normal Joe Show, Humes.
I think they were called Humes or something. 11.
Yeah, that was Evilly Swan, and I think they may have used that in 11. But yeah, so FF14, it's good. We're in it.
Yeah, no. Actually, the thing that's giving me the edge to 14 right now is that with the 7.1, they came out with a new system in your glamour chest. Now you can take items and register as outfits and put them back into your glamour chest, and it'll only take up one slot. So if you have like a set item that has like that takes up 5 slots normally, you can take them out, make them an outfit, put it back in, and that only takes up 1 slot. And so for like the past couple days, I basically taken out almost every outfit item I had in my glamour dresser, tried to put them all together, and I still have like, let's see here, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 27 pieces that that are part of outfits, but I don't have the full set. So now I have the adjective of I need to get the rest of these parts, otherwise it's gonna drive me fucking mad.
Yeah, it's added a new fucking completionism mechanic. But also it's really good, because I've literally saved 100 glamour dresser slots with the system.
God, I have 50, I think I have 55 outfits now, and I'm pretty sure I've saved like 200 or 300 slots at this point. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And also, admittedly, that's with past me thought he was being clever when I just didn't buy the head slot for a lot of the PvP crystal reward outfits because, Viera. Well, now future me is punished because now I've got so many sets of gear that I need to buy a head slot or some other random stuff from, because otherwise I can't compress them. But we will do it. We will get there. And they keep encouraging you to do the PvP season anyway. There's another cool new glamour in this season.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Viera can't wear the baseball cap, but the rest of it's pretty good. And at least now, because it's all a coffer that you get dropped, I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that, because it's not like I'm wasting the glamour dresser slot, right? Because it'll all just go as an outfit and squish down. So yeah. I'm fairly certain, based on the popularity of this mechanic, they are probably going to be expanding it. And I'm hopeful that they can go it. They said they wanted to start with level 1, definitely for glamour items to start, but I definitely think there's room to expand to first of all, I would like all job gear to go like this, to be squished. Thank you.
Big swoosh.
Because a lot of the expansion job gear is very iconic and very good looking on your jobs, but they can get a little big in your glamour dresser, because you keep picking them up every 10 levels.
Oh yeah, I think they will. It's also with the 2-die system too. I think they are just they've made a starting point, and they're just going to keep going forward with it.
Yeah. Hell, this patch added I don't know exactly where they were, but a lot of items did get the 2-channel dice added to them. Yeah, Raid Gear's another big one.
No, trust me. I want to be able to smush down all my fucking Neo Raid gear sets.
Yeah, that's what most people are going to want to do, and be out here being looking at all of my Evil East Raids gear, just being yeah, I collected a lot of that. I think I need to squish that down too. But yeah, it's a really great system. But also, like you said, literally, I ended stream right, which was slightly long. I started early and we went a little long to make sure I finished the patch in time. I think I spent 30 minutes in the VC just getting started organizing my glamour dresser, and I did not finish crunching down every possible glamour outfit I could make. Because I love the system. There's one part about it that is fairly tedious, which is when you go to set up the items, you have to like manually go to each box and pick it out of your inventory in like the sub menu. So it's like 5 clicks every time. I understand that for some of them, they're because like I think at least one of the outfits that like Tataru gave you is like has options for which counts as the glamour outfit set because there's 2 different bottoms.
Yes.
So like things with choices, okay, I follow you. But like when there is no like variability, I would love an autofill button.
Honestly, I feel the outfits that you also have options in it should just include the options in it.
Yeah, that I don't know how the coding is, you know, like if they would have to have both of them. Oh, right, shit. There's an epilogue quest for Pandemonium, isn't there? I completely forgot about it. Yeah, I haven't been to Elpis, so no, I don't think I've done it. Actually, I know I haven't.
I have not either. Sure. I'll have to go do that.
Yeah, I have to figure out where that is and go handle it. But yeah, that's another good thing to do. So yes, Final Fantasy 14. Like I said, keep tuning in, chat, to the streams. You'll see us keep doing more 14 stuff. I even decided to do some funny and swap the thumbnail for the new patch key art. It's Professor Clodion. Okay, so it's way down deep in the guts of Labyrinthos. Got it. But yeah, let's see. I have a couple more things I could bring up, but how about you, Lucky? I know you've been sick, so don't know if there's anything crazy out there, but I also know there's been a couple of gacha game things going on.
Yeah. So, a little like, I think it was like last month I started playing Outer Plane, which was a gacha game because I realized that it had a Tamano no Mai, and unfortunately, Lucky's one of his great weaknesses is big titty fox girls who are kind of evil but really into you. I know it sounds specific, but this happens more than you think.
It is certainly a genre.
Yes. And well, I did start playing for that character. I've actually come to pretty much really enjoy the game. I enjoy its combat style, and I've gone so far to say that if there was an FGO2, I actually kind of hope they actually adapt the combat system much like Outer Plane does. Because Outer Plane, its combat system is usually done 4v4, usually like 3 3 rounds. And it just starts off auto. You don't actually, well, I mean, you can do it, but you don't have like a lot of abilities. You just have like certain attacks that you can do. But all those attacks are like really interesting and unique, and can do a wide variety of things. Like there are some characters who their first attack is just a normal single person attack. But if they get a critical on that attack, they'll follow up with a second attack that does damage to all enemies. There's like I really can't go into detail about like just how weird and wacky all the abilities are, and I think it'd be really fun for FGO to kind of embrace that a bit, because unfortunately FGO right now, while it does have interesting mechanics, it's very much based on just buffs and debuffs, I want to say. Like, how's the best way to put this? Like, unless you're doing an MP, you're only attacking one person, and all that attack is based around the skills that you have done to increase or decrease that ability. It's a lot of math, but not necessarily a lot of flair. I don't know if I am necessarily explaining it properly. I didn't really think too much about this when I decided to bring this topic up, but
I think I'm hearing it. You know, it's like you're saying it's not too like flashy, but there is definitely a system here because you
FGO definitely has a system, but it's not flashy. You basically just hit a bunch of skill buttons, and then you just try to hit something as hard as you fucking can.
I mean, the combat is literally, it's not quite a rock, paper, scissors because there's no like response on the other end from enemies, but it's a very boilerplate, simple Japanese game. I think a lot of other mobile games have this system of like, okay, you've got 3 colors that do 3 different things. Literally, Buster Arts Quick is like a term that is used a lot in game design over there. Like I think I was shocked the other year when I was rewatching back a series that Team 4 started where they played Dragon Ball Fusions, which is a DS game, and like characters were like speed, power, technique. They had basic attacks that were like Arts Rush, Quick Rush, Buster Rush, and I'm just like, wait a minute. So like FGO is very straightforward with like
I love Robin's explanation. FGO is a game of tug of war where you and the enemy take turns trying to end motherfuckers' lives as hard as possible.
Yeah, it's that one tug of war minigame from Mario Party, the one where you burn your palm. It's literally tug of war, but you got to go all out all the time. Yeah. So yeah, no, like it's very plain. A lot of the like flash and style comes from the actual like animations and the art design. I even mentioned this earlier, talking about new SSR. Like servants, especially of higher rarity, like feel like they have so many like auto includes after almost 10 years of game design that it's like, yeah, you've got a hard defense. Yeah, you've got a 30% battery. Ooh, what card color stimulant do you have? And only very rarely do they actually be like, oh, this servant does something that's either like wholly unique or actually like is an interesting combo where you're like, oh, this is actually a unique niche. And sometimes those niches are not actually that helpful. Like FGO hasn't done an anti-cavalry unit since base Nobunaga. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Brito Mart's niche is like super in demand, right? Like her anti-rider damage is like, well, I can make that work, but she's a Lancer, so I think the joke I said in Wanted is FGO, Lasengel knows you're so down bad for a wave clearing assassin, they gave you a Lancer who kills riders instead. So yeah, like FGO is not necessarily super creative, but you're feeling that creative flow more with Outer Planes.
Well, yeah, no, like I definitely like wanted, like I said, there's like a bunch of like, it's like unlike FGO, like the characters here use gear and stuff, which does like other stuff, but like in this game, you have people can put up barriers, they can counterattack, they can do counterattacks, they can you can combo attack with other characters. You have a chain attack where all 4 of your characters attack at once. They already have something like enemies like bosses has an enrage mechanic, like if they hit either a certain percentage of health gone, they enrage, or if they go so many turns they enrage. But they also have something called their break bar. If you can deplete it, they enter a break state where they can take like more damage and whatnot, and it will also stop a berserk state from happening. Like there's a like, the more I played, the more I realized, oh, like there's actually a lot more to this combat system than I thought in the first place, and it's pretty interesting. And like, and sometimes the fucking enemies are mean. Like, there's sometimes you'll be fighting an enemy, and if like there'll be enemies like you can like do AoE damage here, but some enemies will just be like almost straight up immune to AoE damage. Like, you try hitting them with, like, your big AoE, you're just hitting once. But if you hit them with a single target attack, that's when you're doing normal-ass damage. And, like I said, there are, like, certain enemies where, like, some enemies will just be straight-up invincible unless you can take out something else on the field first, or knock an enemy into boss state. So, no, they put there's a lot of creativity in fighting the enemies, and sometimes it's a straight-up pain in the dick. But I think it needs gotta have that kind of creative flair to things. Like, let me see if I can open some things up here. The writing in the stories is pretty good too. It's not the bestest, but there's some really good bones in there. Let's see. So like I was talking to myself like, nah, I'll just play for the Tamamo event and then get on out of there. But I was like, oh no, I actually like this game. I have to stay.
Yeah, I know that was you. I mean, you literally talked about it, but yeah, that was kind of how you were. It was like, I'm gonna try this game. I'm gonna, get in for this one unit and see where it goes, and then kind of that moment of like, oh wait, shit, the game is good.
Yeah.
Remember,
so
Chad, it's fundamental. The game must be good.
Yeah, Outer Planes is a game that the thing about Outer Planes, it doesn't look like it's a good game. It looks like it's kind of just one of those boilerplate, quick, cash grab kind of games. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, hey, we've made a bunch of units with cute girls here, roll them, get them, kind of thing. And that's why I was kind of...
Gacha market is very oversaturated, but I'm good on them for actually, like, being like, no, we need something. We need a hook. What's the hook? Good game design.
Yeah. No, and, like, I love the story because the story is, like, really good. Like, it starts off as, like, a revenge story about this one guy trying to get back at other time. And the thing that I love about it is that, you know how a lot of times, like, these gacha games, they'll have, like, you'll do your normal mode, and then you'll unlock a hard mode and such things? in this game, when you complete the main story, the first chapter of the main story first, and unlock the hard mode is because you go back in time and you're trying to do things again. So they actually gave me like an actual reason why, you would go and do it all over again, because guess what? You went back in time and actually did it again. And at the end of that story, they explained how that happened. I'm just like, oh, that's really rad. Like, no, so like the story is good. They have like so many little side stories for all their characters and stuff. Like, there's literally just a segment in the Avenger thing that's called side stories, and there's like 50 entries in there. I've barely touched them because there's just so many. So there's a lot of writing involved in here, and I like that. It's like good gameplay, good game design. I mean, good gameplay, good characters, and good story. I'm like, no, that's a win on all three fronts. Actually, I need a moment. Can we pause real quick?
Yeah.
All right,
We'll
thank
be right
you.
We're back.
All right, sorry about that. I had to step away for a moment.
Yeah.
But I think that was enough about Outer Plane. But in the past couple weeks, I have actually picked up another gacha game that I am ill-inclined to drop. That is Haze Reverb, the Giantess gacha game.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I think it's only in week 2 of being released. And this is just a global version. Apparently, there's been other versions out for I don't know how long, but for a while now. And while I was playing this game, because Lucky likes him some giantesses, I did not realize that this game was actually lewd as fuck. Like, I'm just gonna start without, it's lewd as fuck. Like, we got like full on exposed, like we got like nipples and like camel toe everywhere. I'm like, Jesus, game, you cannot be contained. How do we get past the ratings board?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know Google and Apple have some restrictions on some stuff, but
yeah, because you can get it on Google Play. I don't know if it has an age rating there. I didn't actually check.
I assume it's some kind of rating. But yeah, somebody even posted in our Not Safe for Work channel, like, bringing up the fact that, yeah, no, nipples are just in it.
Oh, did they? I haven't checked. I didn't see it.
It was a few days ago, and like technically before there was some follow-up, because somebody like asked like what game is that, like, right away, but the reply didn't come for like a couple of days later, so the conversation gets spread out.
Yeah, no. So Haze Reverb is another one of those games. I think the story is a little it's a little much for people. I think I want to say, like, they're doing the whole Earth is being invaded, and you gotta use these giantess girls to protect mankind, and they try to talk a lot about human nature, but sometimes it just kind of goes over my head. I'm not entirely sure what they're getting at with some parts, but the story seems alright. Combat is interesting. So basically, what you do is you place your units on I want to say. Hang on, let me think here.
It does. Yeah. Let's pull it up on Google Play right now. It is rated M.
Oh, yeah. Well, that makes sense. But you can basically place 9 units on a 3x6 grid, and you don't actually control their actions. You can only control where they're placed and what order they go in. They all attack on their own, and each of them have rules on who they use their skills on and when. So a lot of combat is basically looking at your units, looking at the enemy, and finding the best way to counter the enemy units without them, getting up in your face. So, like, there are some units who can attack multiple units at once. Generally, you want to get them in there nice and early to, maybe clean out some enemies early so they can't take a turn later, which means, that's less DPS you have to worry on your turn. It's a little fidgety and a little grating sometimes, especially when the enemy might pull out some bullshit where they'll get off a unit that can stun your units, or they get off a unit that taunts your unit, so all of them are then taunting them. So there's a fair amount of complexity in it that's keeps you thinking, but at the same time, it's like it feels like for every single battle you do, you have to completely rethink your strategy, and can be tiresome at times. Let's see, just grab some girls here. I just gotta cut his costume for this girl, and it's just like, I don't know if I'm necessarily emotionally destroyed by the plot right now. Not like in the same way that Nikke does. Like, Nikke destroys me on a regular basis. The most that Haze Reverb has done is like, oh, that's kind of sad at the moment. They do have some cool moments. Like, when you beat the prologue story, it's like basically it's the end of the world and everyone's lost, and some enigmatic figure talks about doing it over again and whatnot. and then they play the end credits, and at the end credits, the credits stop and then start playing in reverse, going faster and faster, and you start seeing flashes of scenes from the past as you go back to the beginning. I was like, that's me, DiCaprio pointing, going, "That's fucking rad." I love shit like that. Let's see here. Yeah, let me show up this fucking gremlin real quick here. Yeah, this is Gin, basically my fucking tank, who's a chubby lolly who's fucking nipping it with camel toes and fucking heart eyes as she licks her lips. I'm all like, game, really?
We're talking about it. We're in a phase where, like, I think literally right now we're seeing the two paths to success. The gacha field, the waifu game field, is a little oversaturated. So your two options, the two forks on the tech tree are, well, the third fork is scam, but we don't talk about that. Your two forks are, you make a game that's actually good, which seems to be the like you said before, the Outer Planes style, where like the gameplay is actually a much deeper cut than you thought, or you're just like full blown like, oh no, you can't play this game in public. You will feel embarrassed, but we know you like that shit. If you're clicking on this game, you know what you're here for. We're not going to be shy about it. We know what you want. We've got it. Like, we've talked about that. That's like the direction Azure Lane has totally gone, because a lot of their plot writing is kind of scattershot and all over the place, and I assume the gameplay is still fundamentally, bullet hell.
Yes.
So, like, they're just like, yeah, fuck it. We're just going to, like, know what you guys are fucking here for.
So it's just like, I want to keep playing it because I am like interested in the story and seeing where it goes. But it does seem to be a fair amount of cliches and just being horny on main. But they're being generous with like roles and stuff right now, and it does have some interesting systems. They do have some interesting stats and whatnot. Like, you do have your attack, but healers have to use their support stat. There's like armor, there's CC, CP. I'm not actually sure what those even do yet.
I should keep that in mind if I ever get back to my Mecha Musume tabletop idea. Because there's a lot of talk about, I already did a lot of work on stat design, just having like a generic support stat or skill. Sometimes in game design, you've got to streamline.
Yeah. But Haze Reverb is okay. I have not felt the urge to drop it, but I've also not felt the urge to spend money on it. Like, I've given Outer Plane $5. It's not like, you deserve that $5. Probably deserve more, but I don't have the money to spend. I do not. I still need to spend money on Nikkei, because I gotta buy frickin' Cinderella's gacha skin, because it's good, and it makes her smile, and that makes me happy. Because Nikkei's second anniversary has run its course. We're basically in the back half where there's nothing really new happening. It's just everyone's get to clear it up, and that story has destroyed most of us in various ways. There has been much crying and much sobbing and much rage, which I think is indicative of the Nikkei experience. No matter how horny Cinderella looks. Me and the rest of the Nikkei lags are vibrating for the next story event, but we got to get through Christmas and New Year's, where they're also going to throw more units at us that make us want to open up our wallets. How dare! But that's everything on the gacha front for me. Like I said, video game wise, I've been putting a lot of thought. I haven't really been playing too much. Like I said, I'm trying to get back into 14. More often than not, and I do want to work more on Sons of the Forest. I am trying to record enough footage that I can stream together a coherent-ish enough video. I also might need to lay some more ground rules down when we play more, because I'm realizing that the things that we like to talk about are probably not the most conducive for content creation.
Yeah, it kind of depends on the context. A lot of stuff is just like a decent amount of people. I think even my own preference, people sometimes like, just yapping. But if you're editing together a lot of, like, micro clips, it's definitely the kind of thing where, like, some of that won't go together. And it also probably depends on, like, what we're doing on screen. Because when, like, yesterday, I mentioned this off cam because we got a couple of the guys who can play for us in here now. And I was talking about how we might go back to that after we're done recording. But, like, yesterday, we spent a big chunk of time just building the fort, and sometimes there's some funny interactions that might make it in there, but when we're just, like, chopping logs and picking up rocks and drawing, I don't know how much you would want that to be in the final product anyway.
No, probably not. There are some moments I gotta cut out of there, because there was just a moment where Axe was AFK. I would just stop and kept throwing rocks at his face and he just didn't move, so I just kept doing it. It's like stuff like that I want to keep in, just, cut it in, move on to something else.
We do have a lot of, like, random beats like that. Well,
Axe, if you're gonna be distracted, you shouldn't be in the recording.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like, well, you don't have to play Sons of Forest. You should be like, hold on, I'm busy. Or you say in Sons of Forest, hold on, I've got some other stuff. I'll, be back later. Like I said, if something truly uninteresting or like not good moment is happening, I'm trusting Editor Lucky will eventually snip that. It's not like a stream VOD.
No. Like I said, the plan is to basically cut a lot of our explorations, us dying, funny moments we have, and I think what I want to do is I want to do this base building montage. I know this would be a pain in the fucking dick, but just basically take all the clips of me just putting down like a log or something and just fucking turn it into like just
speed run, edit all the clips of like log. Yeah,
log,
I can
log,
picture
log,
it in
log,
my
log,
head. That probably will be a pain in the ass to do, but
a pain in the ass. But also, I think that is the most entertaining way to do it.
Yeah, I think it will work out long term.
But no, because like I said, we went back up to normal difficulty, and already we have seen that combat, that normal ass dudes, they hurt. So I expect there to be more panic, more dying, and if not, well then we'll do a third one and we'll go up to fucking hard, and everyone will suffer. And people will be like, "Why did you do this?" And I was like, "For the views, Madison." Don't ask who Madison is.
I mean, I literally, I don't know if you were recording us talking about fucking setting up the world or not, but literally I was the shoulder devil where you were like, should we do trap damage? And I'm like, it'll be funnier. The video will be funnier if you do that.
Yes.
If players can set off traps.
I don't know why, but I have not been able to find a fucking map, and it's actually slowly driving me insane.
Interesting. No, I don't think you need
I might be in the wrong area.
maps.
You know, I'm gonna go to an area that I know that I've fucking picked up a goddamn map before. That's what I'm gonna go do. People, they were saying there was supposed to be some here. They're not here. They lied. They lied as easily as they breathed. That reminds me of another thing I'm gonna do in the video. Do you remember yesterday when the explosion went off in the camp and no one knew what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was me. I threw a pebble at the propane burner, and the fucking thing exploded. I just didn't say anything. It's like I was just far away, so I'm already thinking of the idea and to edit it when I say that, and just put in text at the bottom. And Lucky lied as easily as he breathed.
Yeah, I kind of figured it was something weird. People trying to be like, "Oh, did you lag it?" Also, I mean, no, I don't think just us just screaming. Yes, people do like that content still. I don't like 100% screaming, but you need a little bit of screaming. Like, part of the vibes.
Axe, I want to point your attention to Rubik's Vector videos where majority of him is just screaming, "Oh no!" as horrible things happen to him.
Bird noises. Yeah, Rubik's has got a really good rate of just clipping together stuff, which I'm very excited. He tweeted, he's had some good videos recently. I need to get the fucking. They did a heckin' time loop in Arma 1. I got to make sure you guys have seen because it's really good. But he said that he didn't actually get to. There was no new video he released today because he's deep in the tank on editing another one. So he's like, "Oh, you'll have a special one next week," and I'm like, "Oh man, can't wait." But this is to just peek behind the curtain. We haven't really done this style of content much, but this is one way to do it where you amass a huge amount of footage. And then you pick and pick apart all the best highlights until you get something that's enough content together. Arguably, this is how, for instance, Russian Badger does his videos. Obviously, he does a lot of extra work with usually his videos these days, especially have a narrative inserted in there where they're playing a game for a reason, or he has almost a video essay style thesis, and he does in between bits with his mocap suit and stuff.
Yeah.
But the actual gameplay footage is just cobbled together of all the best moments. He kind of does it from both ends because he'll also be on Twitch streaming usually.
Mm-hmm.
But that is a way a lot of content gets got this way is you do the thing and get the content together.
You get the content.
But yeah, well, let's not linger too long if you want to get back in there. It's already past daily reset in FGO.
That'd be.
Yeah, we've been recording for over 2.5 hours. The podcast, not Sons of the Forest. I don't know how much footage Lucky has.
About 3 hours right now.
Okay, solid. In that case, I just have a couple of other quick things to bring up. One of which, speaking about games and stuff, I mentioned off mic a little about my wanting to find time to do more things, like juggling a lot of projects working on, including like the best of and other stuff, working through a few things, and also like catching up on a lot of games. For instance, I mentioned that like there's a new update to the HoloLive fan game, HoloCure, like just had a new patch drop, and I'm like, man, I'm back in my VTuber arc. I should check that out sometime. It looks like fun and has a lot of funny, but also like, when will I find the time? One thing that happened recently that a lot of people have been interested in, which I have actually picked up just to try, is the Pokemon trading card game Pocket. Which I was kind of curious. There is more than just a pack simulator in it, but that seems to be the main thing. And I've mentioned this before about the difference between, like, say, Pokemon and other trading card games. The Pokemon TCG has got like cool foils and artifacts like on lock. We should hang out in the mobile game channel and like swap friend codes or something. They don't have trades with players yet, but they say that's coming soon. But like, as just like a pretty card opener, and I saw, of course, as usual, fucking FOMO, you see people on social media being like, oh, we checked out this new game. Look at these cool fucking foils we got.
I found Aaron.
Oh, nice. And I admit, I've gotten a couple of cool ones. I'm having an auto battle, but I'm in the middle of battle right now, so I can't mention some of the stuff. But like, I've you get some trash, but you get some decent pulls. You get some fun stuff. And like, when you pull a good card, you can like, touch your screen and move around. And like, look at the cards from different angles. They've got, silver borders and, big blow-ups and stuff. So like, at first I was just like, well, if it seems like it's just like a cool, like, literal card pack opening simulator, and of course you've got a stamina timer, like you can open a pack every 12 hours, you can spend little Pokemon hourglasses to make it go faster, etc. They have a premium currency, obviously. But actually, once you start leveling up, first of all, they have a lot of stuff that I probably will not get too deep into, but if you are, like, real keen on the collecting and displaying part of cards, they've got, like, build your own, binders and, like, display boards in their social hub, so you can, like, pick, like, what, like, backdrop you want, or, like, what binder type, and then what cards go in it, For people who know, if you haven't actually tried the game, I would say, cool, my auto won. It's kind of a little bit, but like, obviously no story at all, but it's kind of like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. Like, it's a compacted version of the rules, but there is a playable card game in it. It's just, the decks are like way smaller. They're like 20 cards per. You don't have to actually play energy cards. Your deck just automatically generates an energy every turn. So, like, none of that shit. The prizes are, like, fixed at, like, 3, I think, and they're not taken out of your deck. You just earn points. So, like, it's got a, like I said, like, a super compacted version of the rules. You can play solo against AI decks. There is also a versus people. I haven't touched that shit at all, because why the fuck would I? Why would I, who am literally playing this at, like, I'm literally opening card packs at, like, 3 or 4 a.m. in my bed, like, why would I, in that time, go online and fight people, especially who, they're probably more hardcore Pokemaniacs than me looking, but it's, a straightforward, simple little thing. Like I said, it's got, the battles have like an auto mode, you can just have it play for you if you want to look for the rewards. You can just build battles, and I think some Pokemon do actually have FTKs. I don't know if you can do that in this, because it feels like this feels like the reverse of Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of, but going first seems like a big lax, because you can't attack or play energy the first turn. But I guess you get to, like, set up your board earlier, so I don't know. But yeah, I don't think in this version you can actually do an FTK. But that's just because I think they have restrictions. But yeah, like I said, it's just a cute little thing that I saw a bunch of people try. I was like, oh, these cards are really shiny. If it's nothing but a, was nothing but a, I can open up a couple packs a day type simulator, I'm like, that's probably fine. That's cute. But it's got a lot of the same, mobile game stuff in it. And like I said, it's just a little thing I've been trying. And like I said, if they actually do, like, open up trades and stuff, there could be some interesting things. Also, Legendary, I believe I have sent you a friend request. I'm up to 172 cards collected, so I don't think that's a whole hell of a lot, but we got some. We're trucking. And they do like, rental decks that you can use limited number of times. It's got an auto build feature, so it feels like the developers have really tried to make the like ultimate high speed low drag format of the Pokemon TCG of just like, hey, here, we're gonna do everything for you. You don't want to build decks? Push a button, build a deck. You don't want to fight battles? Push button, fight the battles for yourself. So all in all, like I said, I've been trying it out. I've been playing it a couple days. It seems cute, and like I said, I've pulled a couple of shiny pieces of virtual cardboard. In that respect, it feels better than some other stuff I've had to have done.
Mm-hmm.
Who's my? Let me crack open my collection real quick. Yeah, no, like I said, I started doing cardboard crack in a very formative year. So and let me tell you, their haptic feedback on this shit almost pitch perfect. You can. To open the card packs, you swipe across they got a little tab you swipe. You can fucking turn over the pack and swipe it so it's backwards facing you for that fucking, like, streamer-ass type reveal. Like, complete mystery. Or you can open them face up and just flick through the cards. I got some decent ones. I got, like, a Starmie EX. That Gengar EX is very shiny. I've got, like, the full art Lapras and Charmander. There's a big Charizard EX, which I'm sure is a big get for a lot of people with nostalgia. Because, Charizard's such a big grab. But, like I said, this is the thing I've long admired about Pokemon, is they do card art really good. So, yeah, there's some really good shit there. But the other thing is, I've been, new month, been debating picking up a new video game. I've been trying to get back into P3R, but I've mentioned this a couple of times. I'm kind of at a like, deep dungeoneering stage where if you want to be doing Persona 3 the most efficient, you got to max out all your floors, as soon as you can, kind of stuff. And, get to that grind set, because then you have all the free time in the world to do all your other shit. Get tired, you don't got to worry about going back home early. So, like, I put a few hours into just doing the grind set, and I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm not, like, hating this, but also I'm like, I'm not feeling as into this as I was. I'm sure I will be in a mood to get my RPG on and grind it out, but I'm not feeling it. So I did actually pick up Space Marine 2.
Space Marine.
Yes, Space Marines. I just feel like there's been kind of like a probably mostly because Space Marine 2 came out, but I feel like there's been kind of like a bubbling up of a lot of like 40K content. Like a lot of streamers, picked up the game and got exposed to the universe the first time, and I've seen a few other 40K themed videos floating around I've been catching up on, and I've just kind of like, yeah, no, I feel like I'm in the mood for this, and no, I think it was a good pull. I think I mentioned earlier in the week on streams that one of the things I am talking about when I talk about juggling work is, even before I actually got the game, kind of this 40K focus got me back into working on the hypothetical Warhammer 40K fail portrayal.
Oh.
Which if literally my outline for that was so old, I think it was a couple years ago I was working on it last. Like technically, a whole new edition of the rule set has come out since I started it, so I had to actually update some of my notes. That's not too crazy. The war game does update with fairly good regularity, but the basic pitch is that there are a lot of pieces of book art and also miniature sculpts over the years of 40K that some are like really, really high quality, very good. Some of them are very infamously derpy. The kind of thing that we talk about normally on a fail portrayal. But I feel like to explain why some of these things are so out of place, I have to like explain how all the faction aesthetics work. Because like genuinely, 40K is these days usually pretty good about like every faction on the tabletop is supposed to have a certain kind of like look and feel to its aesthetics. So I started this as just like, I'll do a casual like high level run of like examples of what these things are supposed to look like. And normally for me writing something that could be considered a video essay, it has wildly spiraled out of control with a level of detail, but I think it will be a much more interesting stream and DVOD product for it. So I've basically been working through a fucking slideshow of like, okay, I'm going to explain 40K factions and setting to you and like why these things are the way they are, both like some of the history of the fluff, because even though Games Workshop is not always very open about the fact that they change their fluff, a literally, I don't know how much stuff from the original first edition of the game is even technically canon anymore. I'm pretty sure in the first edition Rogue Trader days, they had an Emperor of Mankind. Pretty sure it wasn't a God Emperor of Mankind yet. Don't even know if he had a chair. Not even sure if he was a skeleton yet. Like, so like they are constantly revising the lore, but because the setting is like so spread out over the place, like I think this is something I've actually taken some potshots in my speakers notes. Like they turned what was supposed to be the backstory of the setting, the Horus Heresy, and what now as a tabletop side game is marketed as 30K into like a whole separate marketing universe. Like they realized they could monetize their backstory and turn it into a fucking, like Axe just said, 30 long book series. I think it's actually more than 30. And there's whole separate like miniatures, lines, and rules and etc. for it all. So like the universe is very sprawling and is full of retcons. So I get to poke fun at like, here's some old art, here's some new art, and yeah, it's like a big project. It's honestly probably going to be like, I talked about like it being 2 parts. It'll probably actually be like 3 parts for the video, because I've broken it up into human factions, chaos, Xenos, because I think otherwise I'm already going insane trying to organize this. Like I've like gone back and reordered my fucking slides like 4 times. Yeah, I know. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's 60, but I didn't want to double fact check you in the middle of something else. Yeah, it's like 60 books. It's 64 actually. You've literally just checked. I don't know. I'm quibbling. But yeah, so anyway, this is the mood I'm kind of in where I've picked up Space Marine 2. And honestly, I'm having fun. Like, I will say this, I'm vaguely familiar with the plot of Space Marine 1. You don't need to play Space Marine 1 to play Space Marine 2. There is a in media res type prologue that kind of sets up a lot of stuff. And while I do think there is better payoff if you are familiar with the plot of the first game, there's definitely enough going on that explains like what you got going on with you. All in all, honestly, I think Space Marine 2 is a game that any goober on the internet can pick up. You will have a deeper understanding if you are more familiar with the universe. Like, honestly, I kind of like this because it's more immersive, but if you're the kind of person who asks a lot of questions in your head and can't do that kind of just go with it, if you don't know a lot about 40K lore, you're going to be like, fucking confused. You start the game as, I think literally you're called just in the subtitles the kill team leader because you are the leader of a Deathwatch kill team of some Space Marines. Your character's in like all black armor and is wearing like a black patch over his chapter insignia, so you don't even know where he's from. And like you're not named and you're all mysterious and spooky. And then, the prologue reveal, which isn't a reveal because it was already in the marketing material, but at the end of the action prologue, the unnamed player character takes off his helmet and he's the protagonist from the first game, literally a couple hours in. So like I said, it's not really a spoiler because it was in the marketing material, but they set all this up and you get critically wounded and then you get converted to a Primaris Marine through the Rubicon surgery. What the fuck does that mean? Well, there is a data slate center, so there might be some like backlog codexing, but like I said, if you don't know already, you don't know. But it also, 40K is one of those weird settings where a lot of setting details don't actually matter to the plot. All you need to know is you were grievously wounded, you were saved by experimental surgery, you're a new guy now, you get a fucking promotion, you put on your helmet, you have 2 squaddies with you, we do a classic triangle ensemble. The main character, Lieutenant Titus, is taciturn Marine. He doesn't explain shit. He's got a, dark and brooding backstory. He doesn't know who to trust. He feels judged, but his faith is unwavering. Only in death does duty end, blah, blah, blah. You've got your Sergeant, Gadriel, who is kind of like your very traditional Lancer role, where he thought he was gonna get command of the 3-man squad, and now you're in command, so like he second guesses a lot of your decision without second guessing your decisions, because he's also like, our commander is like fucking got over 100 years of service, which is not anything crazy to Space Marines, by the way. And then you've got Brother Chiron, who's just your supportive guy. He's always like, brother, you shouldn't doubt our commander's word. Just fight the enemy. Also, I mean, I'm sure you've seen the memes chat, but no, they go very ham. All the Space Marines refer to each other as brother. So, like, there's a lot of that going on. Then you should listen to your brother. Fight well, battle brothers. The Emperor protects. Like, again, it's a very immersive game. Like, it's very Yeah, a lot of that. A lot of, brother, Predator handshakes. No, very immersive game, gets you right in there. You're fighting against Tyranids, which is great for this kind of game. Gameplay's pretty good. I'm playing it on, I think the normal difficulty is normal. I know that sounds, redundant, but it's not. Lots of games have funny names. It is one of those games where they say veteran is the intended difficulty, but I've heard a lot of people say, hey, your first time through the story mode, especially if you're playing it with the AI, try normal, and then when you've got your footing, try veteran. I believe you can 3-man co-op the entire campaign, so, if you wanna pool up, you can actually group up and do stuff. It does have crossplay, so that's also not that if you don't need to worry about that. There is also a PvE co-op mode where you do side missions, and there is a PvP shooty shoot mode, which is, class-based that you can try out some stuff. Basic gameplay is it's a third-person shooter / hack and slasher. You have 2 weapons, primary and sidearm. So I'm a little disappointed, at least in the core campaign. You only have a handful of sidearm choices. It's bolt pistol, heavy bolt pistol, plasma pistol. I do be rocking the plasma pistol, though. You have, and when you switch to your sidearm, you also automatically switch to your melee weapon, but you can just press R1 at any time on controller and do melee attacks. You can hold for heavy attacks, stuff like that. There's a few different melee weapons. They have some different combos. Like, I'm just, where I've gotten in the story to let people who've played the game know, I've just made it to the second planet, finished that first mission there. So I've, just about unlocked the power sword, which actually, you can switch between, fast and heavy stances, which is pretty cool. You can get a combat knife, which for a Space Marine, their combat knife it's literally as long as your forearm. By the way, you're a primary Space Marine, so you're 10 fucking feet tall, so it's a pretty big knife. That's another thing. People have said this before. Space Marine 2 is a game that beautifully captures what the scale of Warhammer 40k is supposed to be. You go into some of these, Imperial spaces, and you are just in these giant fuck you factory cathedrals, right? With, huge narthexes and shit. You get to return to your battle barge, your spaceship a couple of times, and, you're just, chilling in a fucking... The elevator, up to the bridge is, a cargo elevator, because otherwise you're never gonna fit more than one Space Marine in the elevator ever, And they do actually have, servitors, tech priests, and, chapter serfs around, so, there are normal humans for scale constantly. There are skulls everywhere. There are flying skulls everywhere. Your fucking armorer is one of the tech priests who is glued into his office chair at all times. He's fucking up on the ceiling inside the bank of monitors, and when you want to talk to him, he has to extend down from the ceiling. There's candles everywhere. It's good. The Tyranid are an excellent choice. The first game is mostly focused on orcs, but the Tyranids are an excellent choice for this kind of game because they're just fucking little greebly xenomorph guys everywhere. The ones who, I think it's termagants technically who shoot at you, but the shooty guys are the most annoying assholes. Lucky you can stun them and do glory kills, because yes, this is a game where you can execute enemies when you get them to low health. You get to do fucking sick kills where you rip off a lot of enemy arms and stab them with their own arms. It's pretty metal. One of your default melee weapons is the chainsword, so you get to do a lot of chainsaw kills. Yeah, no, it's real fun. We're already over 2.5 hours in, so I don't want to. Oh, we crossed 3 hours. Okay, just now. Yeah, so I won't do a blow by blow gameplay review. I might save that for after I'm done with the campaign. But just like I said, it's just been a lot of fun to dip in and out. It's real easy to checkpoint, do a mission, fight some big guys. So far, the gameplay's pretty balanced between multiple different kinds of big fuck you horde shooter segments. There are times when you have to defend. And they do this really fun thing where, you get to see in the background of the map just how many fucking aliens there are for you to fight, right, as they swarm towards you. But always they find these convenient little bottlenecks where they find, a 3-point area where they fucking build a ramp of their own body so only a reasonable fuck you number of them can fight you at any given time. It's still a lot of guys, but they manage to, make you feel the scale while also boiling it down to numbers you can reasonably, have on screen. And like I said, they do a pretty good job. Weapon variety is pretty good for ranged weapons. There's a lot of different stuff you can do. There's, they've managed to reconfigure the standard bolter into, various, you've got carbines for close-up, full auto, your normal balanced rifle. You've got a couple of semi-automatic versions. They have, an actual sniper rifle. They've got, a burst fire rifle. Then you get your fun stuff like plasma rifles and, sweet, the So I think Space Marines do normally have like shotgun equivalent weapons somewhere. But the way Space Marine 2 does it is that's basically what the Melt-A-Gun is. It just shoots a blob of heat at your enemies at short range. So it also sets them on fire. Very low ammo cap, very short range. But boy, does it feel good to just catch a dozen guys in a plume of fire and melt them all. So yeah, no, like I said, real good gameplay feel, very immersive game. I recommend it if you're at all interested in 40K or if you just like cool action games. And like I said, it's got co-op, so you can group up with your buds a lot. So yeah, been having fun with that while I've been in the mood. But yeah, that's everything I think off my list. Anything else you've got going on, Lucky? I don't think so, because you've been sick, so...
Megan, this might weird you out a little bit, but I'm still steamed about the fucking Moira conversation in Rain.
I know, you've been rattling that one over a few times.
Like, it's not like because I'm necessarily mad at this, it's one of those things, like, I feel like I should have, like, handled it better in ways. So, unfortunately, we're a little bit behind on the Rain. I didn't realize that I hadn't uploaded 21 either. I thought we were just behind on 22. Omega did tell me to upload them both today.
Yeah, we'll
So
get them
they'll
out to
come
you
out-
pretty rapid fire over the weekend, I think.
Yeah. But in the latest episode, there was a moment where I actually had to sit down and think about my character for a while, and in the hindsight of it, I feel like I didn't handle it as well as I wanted to. There's a lot of things of me thinking about what happens, like, oh, I should have said this instead of did that, and a lot more thinking of how am I going to handle this going forward. Like, this is one of those things I'm just like, I genuinely don't fucking know. I don't know. And it's been bothering me a lot, because I'm usually the kind of person who I generally try, especially when it comes to tabletop and role-playing, I try to have all my ducks ahead of time, and play ahead of time, because that way I don't necessarily bog down the story with roleplay or hemming and hawing and stuff, over decisions and stuff.
Honestly, I think with Rain, most of us are that way. I think the only person I don't know for sure is Dallas, because usually Dallas seems like he has an itinerary for Nicola, but also we don't. Dallas sends me more DMs about the game in the middle of the game than outside of the game, but I understand that he's very busy. But we do occasionally talk about stuff like out of game. But usually he sounds like he has an agenda for each session.
Yeah,
but for sure most of us do like to be more structured.
Yeah, no, because it's one of those things of like, I'm constantly thinking, all right, Enos probably wouldn't let this lie, but what the fuck is he gonna do? Is he gonna start, beefing over this one incident? No, that's super fucking childish. But also, is he gonna just let this go? No, because, he's kind of childish. I'm just like, like, there's been a lot of me laying in bed just thinking of what to do, and I think that's kind of indicative of, a good roleplay and good characters when you have these thoughts, but at the same time, it's a little stressful. Because it's one of those things, like, I don't want to necessarily spoil it, because I want people to actually go and listen to it, where, Enos, who has a lot on his plate in various ways, kind of lashed out, childishly, I think is the best way to say it. But at the same time, I do not necessarily fear that his actions were unwarranted. So, it's
and like I said, we've discussed this out of character, and, like, you and me are, like, obviously, like, squares with this. Like, it wasn't, out of character, you don't feel like Enos was, like, unjustly put upon, we had some discussion about mechanics about some parts of it, but mostly it was no, like, I think, she raises fair points, and I've said that, like, Moira as a character admits that, like, social shit is not the easiest for her. I think we had a conversation where, like, we joked out of character that, like, Moira says all of you need therapists, but guess what? It's not her.
Yeah, no. So, no, I think, like, Enos has some points in his frame, but unfortunately he's, a kid. Basically, he's still like 19, I think.
You and Leslie are 19.
Yeah, no. 18. And like, because the thing is that Enos is going through a stressful time right now, and Moira basically, God, I don't want to put this like.
She did bully you a little. I think that's fair to say. She did bully you a little. She tried to be like respectful of your position and your time, but also did feel like she needed to remind you that, like, hey, I am, like, older and probably better at killing than you. I'm better at not dying, maybe.
But, it's one of those things of, like, no, like, I don't want to let the fact that Enos was bullied just fucking slide, but, like, as you said, Moira is older and more experienced. So what do? Do I just push more and more until she tells me duel? And I go, Anos goes, all right, a duel to the death it is. And just keep pushing that until she either backs down or actually enters the duel? I was like, no, because that could have, potentially bad, consequences. Do I just fuck off somewhere for a long time? So like, no, because then that, removes Enos from play, and that's not fun for anybody. Do I let, it go just be water under a bridge? No, because that leaves something unresolved, and that's going to blow up later, probably to worse results. I'm just like, I've been thinking about it a lot. You guys don't understand. It really bothers me. I do not have the solution I want to do to bring this to the next part of the story, and it blows my mind. Well, see, here's the thing about making a deal directly. An equal deal can only be made between equal people. And that is not the footing that Moira and Enos is in. For them to be on equal footing, Enos would have to kick Moira's ass to be put on the same equal footing.
Or at least be able to, give as good as you get, right?
Yes. Like I said, so we would actually have to fight. And, well, Enos probably could, I don't know, Enos has 8D in chains and some cool stuff, but I'm pretty sure, if it was just to, first touch or first blood, I'm pretty sure Moira would win, 9 times out of 10. Just from how she's built.
I mean, admittedly, that was a little before, because I know Comrade has gotten some stats up since then, but she got her employment by doing a first blood match with Conrad, and it was over in a single round.
Yes. And so, because, me as a player, and I think Karen doesn't necessarily want to shame or belittle Moira, because, as you said, she has lived a long time, she's a lot of things, but he also doesn't want to be treated as a child by her. And, because that's basically what she did, because basically, she showed up into his workplace, unannounced, uninvited, basically said, hey, do this, and when Enos was like, okay, sure, whatever, in the most cheeky, catty way possible, decided to pull a weapon on him and bonk him.
Yeah, she booped his snoot.
Boop the snoot. So, while, like I said, me and Omega talked about this, you'll hear it on the recording if you listen to it. We talked about this for a while, because I wanted everyone to know that, I wasn't actually mad at Omega for this whole thing going on. But at the same time, I felt I had to explain why I'm acting so strongly to this.
Yeah.
Because while, Moira probably didn't think she was doing something, Enos as a character is someone who actually feels very unstable about his place among the groups, because me being Loki had to be a really special snowflake, and that comes with a lot of drawbacks on its own, kind of thing. We talked about this as well. Enos is big to I can't remember what you call them, but he's kind of a bitch, but he's also a minority.
I don't remember if that was on mic or not, but I think it was after. But I was talking about with everybody, I think we're far enough in after 22 sessions. I know that I feel like both as players and me as the GM, I've got a grasp on what everybody's kind of character flaws are.
Yes, character
unintentional
flaws,
or not. Yeah, and Enos's twofold character flaws is he is simultaneously very anxious, has a lot of anxiety about the fact that I called it, stranger in a strange land. You are an outlier oddball in this setting, which is already fictitious. But also, Enos's coping mechanism is that he's really catty about it as a result. And you make a lot of jokes and a lot of snark to kind of cope with your anxiety, which is also not great. As what the kind of gesture Moira was making when she, reminded you she can draw and hit you with a sword faster than you can react was, hey, I'm being nice right now. You know a lot of people who have no reason to be nice with you. If they didn't want to be nice right now, you'd be dead for being a smartass. Which, I admit, and I think if you have this conversation, Moira would probably be, first to admit, that was probably a little hardcore for, 9 o'clock at night on a Tuesday, I probably shouldn't have come at you so harshly, but also, a lot of people have tried to hit me with a sword in my life from a young age, so,
no,
bro, you need to watch out.
I think I do have to have a talk with Moira, but I think it is going to be the fucking Moira, we need to have a talk, and he's just gonna, pull out a fucking keg, just slam it on the fucking table.
Yeah.
But it's I'm still that's the end result I want. I'm like still processing, everything up to that point.
Well, and I think the first thing we got to do is Enos has to get his big stressor out of the way, which is the party in the music box. Yeah, Axe just said it. Like, which is like, that's one of the things Moira was trying to talk about before we, you guys kind of got snippy at each other's like flaws. Was I think the gentler point Moira was trying to make was like, hey Enos, I understand you have a lot on your plate. You could maybe divvy that up a little by letting everybody know about stuff you got going on so that we're all, like, in on this. This is, by the way, Moira doesn't know shit about Wargman yet. Get ready for probably not as much hitting, but definitely her own version of that conversation with Comrade later. Because he's visibly beat up.
And, like, this is what I'm talking about when I'm thinking about, like, I was talking about later things of, like, I should have said this or should have said that. Like, Ano should have said, is like, couldn't have we waited this until the morning then? When we could talk, I can talk to everybody? And instead of, sneaking into my workshop like a sneak thief?
And Moira's response would have been, well, you've been locked in your workshop all day. Sorry, this was the first time you were open and out, and I was just waiting to see where you were. Because I'm pretty sure you've been sleeping in here. Like,
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, I think I had one.
There's more back and forth there, but yeah, like there's parts of it didn't get unpacked because Axe I think called it correctly, which was like this was like a 10-minute scene that was not off the cuff because I was thinking about it over the week and I'm like, oh, Moira would totally notice. I think you said you wanted it to try keeping the temporary up for like 3 days tops. I was like, Moira would definitely notice that Aurelia's lost a wound box.
Yeah, but the thing is, this was only the first day. I cast it. Remember, I had to talk with Aurelia and Erwin before the collegia.
Yeah.
So that's like another reason. Like that's another reason. Like this is a more post fact I realized, but that'll probably be another reason that Enos would probably have been irritated about that. Is like he just did that. He really hasn't had an opportunity to tell anybody, and someone is getting on his grill for it. Because again,
I'm not exactly sure what they do when, but I do know for a fact that like around and after the Curia, you guys gave a lot of the debutantes like free time, and like Aurelia and Moira did attend, but I would imagine that probably that means that they were getting in like afternoon or evening lessons at some point, like practice, and probably would have noticed, or she just noticed that Aurelia was off because she is her cavalier and doesn't follow her around most of the day. So yeah, it just like she would definitely notice, and it was a little compacted, but like I said, it felt like the opportunity for the scene kind of occurred naturally because, like I said, Logesh was actually the one in a completely different, really good scene. We had a microcosm of some really good moments. Loftus Logesh came to you, knocked upon your door, and interrupted your work, and you actually like stopped what you were doing to come down and help him, and didn't even like at all like put anything on for positive points for Enos. Did not put anything on Logesh for interrupting your very important, stressful work that you've been planning for like 2 weeks, week and a half, whatever. But that's why you were, out of the house, and it was like, oh, I think this is the first opportunity she's had to flag you down about it. Yeah, but like it's like you said, it's one of those things where like improv is good, and I like that we do have these moments where like the stuff kind of comes into sharper focus, but it also does mean that those things are going to be a little more unprepped, and there'll probably be a little more. Like I said, it wasn't off the cuff, but it was definitely like I was not thinking it would have quite so much impactful moments, but I have been feeling kind of like, I mean, all the characters, but definitely I have been feeling Enos's vibes because, like I said, you've been putting a lot of this stuff with your interactions and your self same. But also it has been a large focus of like part of your process of pre-planning and kind of clearing the way so other characters can come to the fore is like, all right, cool, I'm gonna go in the back and work on my secret project now. But that means that role playing wise, you've been scooted out a little bit. So like I have definitely had moments where I'm like, oh, I really want some NPCs to come in and like challenge Enos on some of these assumptions and see if we can't like get him out of his shell a little bit, get him thinking and working in new ways, character arcs and stuff. Like I said, I had a missed opportunity, or the opportunity passed me by, I should say, when that other fairy knight Saturnine came to the door and like had some words, and Enos stayed at breakfast. Absolutely, I feel like if you'd had some snark for him, Enos, like he would have had some moments to bring up to like kind of like challenge some of your assumptions and hopefully like get Enos to think about things in a different way. Like I said, the line I wanted him to bring up would be to tell Enos, you are not a guest, you live in this house.
Yeah. And I understand that, but also the problem is I can talk a lot and I'm really good at taking the spotlight, and I don't necessarily want to do that because Aaron has been expressing, some of his frustrations and, not being able to do his Wargman stuff. Yeah. And I know, like, Axe, wants to get stuff done. He wants to have times for his scenes and stuff.
Well, don't worry about Wargman. Let's, as Axe brought up in the Patreon chat earlier, that was like we sessioned for like 4 hours. I think a good about 3 hours of it was Wargman and Wargman accessories.
Yeah, no, I was fine with that. I will admit I almost passed out because I was feeling pretty tired, and I was like, I'm just gonna go lay down in bed for a bit. And I can't remember. I remember it was the point where the fight started going bad. I was just like, oh my god, and just woke me up, and I sat back down.
Yeah, you like laid down in bed when we got to the fight, and then I think Aaron has it literally. A teaser. He took enough damage to disable one of his arms, and distantly, I think you're on the bed, so we barely hear you. You're like, what? Like, you actually get back in your chair and had to be like, sorry, I was laying down. Hold on, I'm in it now. I'm back in. I'm locked in. Yeah, no, it's So it's a good 22 is a good session all around. 21 I think wasn't as sparky, but had a lot of good like world building stuff. That was the King's Council and some other things. So yeah, we had some all in all like very solid stuff. I guess if you asked me directly, like thinking about the character flaws, like Leslok's character flaw is like honestly, I think you would be in plenty of scenes if you weren't the Marquis, because I was gonna say I feel like Leslok's character flaw is, besides just Leslok has a big brain and thinks he knows everything, but that's every kid his age basically. Like that's not unique to him. But I feel like Leslok's primary character flaw is kind of like the burden of the position. Like he's got a lot of responsibility thrust on him. So I feel like there are a lot of times when genuinely Leslok, probably as like a brother or a cousin or part of the family, arguably even head of the family right now, like should on a personal level like intervene with other player characters, but also like has to have that moment of stepping back and being like, I'm the Marquis. If it was a problem, they would bring it to me, right? Like, kind of like, as Leslok, you do a lot of kicking the can down the road because you have so many real big boy things to fucking think about, and you've got your own small interpersonal character drama to worry about that, like, Leslok, passes up moments to be more supportive and more direct with the other players to kind of, like, be, kind of pulled back. Conrad's, flaw, at least previously, was he thinks he's, tough enough and strong enough to do whatever he likes and doesn't have to tell anything about it because also Conrad feels expendable. Like, if I want to say, I think Conrad's developing a little bit of a martyrdom complex would not be wrong. Nicola's problem is also that he's too smart for his own good and thinks he can solve everything through, applied knowledge and study, and knows best, and doesn't have to tell anybody anything, because Nicola definitely has a martyrdom complex. So he feels he is absolutely expendable, and also that means none of the other characters have to worry about any of his stuff, because, oh, well, if I explode in a horrible magical accident, that's my problem, not your problem, and everybody would be like, no, Nicola, that is our problem. Step 1, who will clean up the mess? Step 2, what if your magical explosion injures one of us? What are we going to do about it? Step 3, what will the neighbors think? And I feel like Logesh is probably the least flawed character. Not that he's, like, perfect or anything, but, like, Logesh is very self-aware about his limitations, and so he has limits, but it's less of a character flaw thing. If I had to say what his character flaw thing is he also has kind of that, like, imposter syndrome situation of being like, oh, I'm less important than all the other characters here. So, like, I don't have to make my opinion known. I don't have to do anything. I'll wait for orders. And some of that is, like, Loth does personally prefer to, like, take more of passive role as a role player. Like, he has his moments, but he does like to, like, sit back and let everybody else get out stuff. And then but I think he's built Logesh very well to play into that and just kind of be like, when he's not in one of his, like, hyper fixations, he's much more withdrawn, and, like, that can be a problem when maybe he should be, like, also more proactive. I think that he was at risk of a different character flaw, but I think Enos may have talked him out of that in that scene.
I do love how that started. Like, I was planning on, like, having Enos talk in his weird voice until Loth actually told me what he wanted to talk about, and I was just like, that was a full record scratch. What the fuck? I think it got everybody.
Okay, no, I've got to do this for realsies.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Rain, we're having a lot of fun with Rain. I'm sure we're going to have another full fun, because there's at least a back half to Warg Manning to finish, and you guys have been working on your, ice cream garden party for a while, which, like I said, I don't think that will actually be super in-depth, but I have a couple of, like,
vignettes?
Yeah, rapid-fire vignettes to go through with the characters that are going to be there, and probably some brief conversations, and then I think there will be probably not like a milestone moment, but I think it will be a significant moment to actually, like, drop the music box. Because you're going to do it in public, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you gotta one-up yourself.
I do. But I did want to get those Rain thoughts out, because, like I said, it has been bothering me.
Oh, yeah, I know. Like I said, I have these moments all the time where I just, like, I think about Rain stuff and I pace around the room and I'm like, fuck, I can't do that yet. That's a fucking Stonehearth scene. I need to get you back across the fucking ocean for that. Have these character ideas come up and have these people who, like, challenge you on some of your assumptions. Yeah, Comrade has different consequences of his actions to think about. Yeah, on screen, only slightly. I think that's because in Norlan we did a couple of early, a lot better time skips. Like, when you guys traveled, you guys covered much more physical distance in Norlan, but it was, like we said, a lot more montage. I was just like, you get in the carriage, you go to a new town to deal with wargs or to deal with, bandits. Alright, cool, we move on. Whereas Norlan's been a lot more detailed. And like I said, I've literally set it up, where, like, we are never doing the Festival of the Rising Dragon in this format again. It's probably still a decently significant, event, but I'm never again gonna make it a blow-by-blow focus. Because I think we're over that plot device.
Yeah.
But alright, it's after midnight, I do still have to edit this together. If that's all the stuff, we'll wind this one down.
Yeah.
I'll get to editing, I'll rejoin Lucky in the spookier woods. And we'll go about how beeswax. Right, Scary Woods. Spooky Woods is step 1, Scary Woods is step 2. Murder Death Woods is step 3 if we need it. Okay, but we're gonna wrap up the episode here. As I said before, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. You can join our Discord for Discord Hangouts. Hang out with people who play FGO and other gacha games. But anime and video games and other stuff. All kinds of other, funny, fun times. You can join our channel memberships for access to membership badges and emotes. There's a little join button down there, to fire through all our funny support ha-has. And, as I reminded at the start of the show, you can support us on Patreon. Get access to episodes early in audio format for as little as $1 a month. Slight discount if you do annual. Higher levels you can do topic polls and stuff. Those will just be wrapping up either today or in a couple of days, depending on the framing. So we'll check in with those probably next time. Keep on track with all that stuff. And our higher level patrons can listen to us record Let's Talk FGO live. And I would like to say that in addition to, of course, being brought to you by all our patrons, we give a special shout out to Adam DeHarp, Blackest OG, Call Me Zed, Carlos, Dragon, JW9000, Kaiser, Starlight, Legendary Boss Hunter, Liam Kessler, Rise of Kenji, Rogavan, Sharvor, some guy named Bob, and Varen the Crow, and all of our listeners like you. You and your name in those words, support us on Patreon. That's going to be everything. We'll see you guys next week. Maybe we'll get some more details about those King Tut unlocks. I'm pretty sure, because they've already fired Banner 2 and 3, there's no more SSRs coming out with the new JP event. But, keep your eyes peeled for stuff, and time to start guessing what the banners for Thanksgiving will be like over here in EN. So have fun with that, and good night, everybody.